Good morning, everyone. Or good afternoon, or good evening, if applicable. Just give me 1 second. Couple of first-time chatters. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, I got Nightbot working. I'll add some more stuff to it in a bit, but we got basic functionality. We got it down. It is safe, but for anime onlys, but no, I'm not an affiliate. I need to finish this stream and then I will be. And then I have to do some payment and tax information, but after this one. Okay, so it is technically safe because I'm not going to spoil anything for anime onlys, but just be careful about looking in chat. I have mods in chat who are going to time out anyone immediately who tries to spoil something, but you can never 100% trust people in chat. So I won't spoil anything. This is intended to be safe for anime onlys. There's not supposed to be any spoilers. Just be careful about looking in chat if you don't trust that. Yeah, and I know some of my mods are anime only as well. Actually, Luciano, are you okay being a mod? Just you don't no pressure, but if you see anything and would be down to drop the hammer if you need to. And yeah, I can change the title a bit. Oh, I was on the recommended? Cool. I've ingrained myself into the Twitch algorithm. All right, let's see. Okay, you should be a mod now, Luciano. So yeah, again, if you're an anime only, just and you'd want to be completely safe, just keep in mind that there are always going to be there's always a chance of there being an asshole in the chat or someone just making a mistake or something like that. So if you don't want to watch this, I totally understand, but I try my best to keep it friendly for anime onlys. But yeah, just be forewarned. Just keep that in mind. Okay. When will you release episode 9 of Arcane on YouTube? After this stream, very shortly after this stream, Arcane episode 9 reaction will go up on YouTube, as well as my first Attack on Titan reaction for this season. Okay. What's with the gloves and hat? I mean, I'm wearing a hat because I want to wear a hat, just because the reason why people wear hats. I'm wearing gloves because it's winter in Canada and my extremities get cold. Okay, so wait, sorry, there was one question. What's up, Riyadh? What was your question? Wait, manga related. If it's manga related past the anime, please don't ask that here. You can't. I'm not gonna be talking about manga here. Okay. That aside, what did everyone think of the episode in general? I'll give my thoughts, and I kind of summed it up on Twitter. But what did everyone think? You asked on Twitter, that's why. I might have just missed it. DM me if you want, Riyadh. Kino, voice acting, peak, peak, very well executed. Peak fiction, Kino, oh boy. Okay. That volume right behind, yeah, great cover. Super good. Okay, looks like people generally liked it a ton. First half kind of wonky. First half was okay, second a masterpiece. It's hard to get excited and hyped when you already read it, but I was jumping off my seat this episode. Yep, I feel that. Peak fiction. Yeah, Drunk Eldian, we were talking about that yesterday. No worries, Luciano. No pressure either. Just if you see someone randomly spoil something, just quickly time them out if you can. Aside from that, no pressure. I trust you, and no obligation or anything. Okay, some problems with expressiveness. I agree with basically a lot of what I'm seeing. I don't think my words will do it justice so good. Okay, cool. Cool. Okay, so personally, the way I think of this episode as, in terms of adaptation overall, I think the previous one was a bit better. The previous episode 3 of the final season, part 2. Because, as some people are mentioning, there was some inconsistency, I think. Some parts were very much prioritized over others, or at least better executed over others. And yeah, I think that just in general, the last episode was a bit more consistent, a bit more innovative and creative and bold in terms of presentation, whereas certain parts in this one didn't quite go the full 9 yards. 14, oh Jesus, 14 ADs, oh boy. Yeah, and you can kind of see that here and there. I'll get into that in a second. So I do think it was a bit of a flawed adaptation, while at the same time loving the episode. It's definitely one of my favorite Attack on Titan episodes, no doubt. An adequate adaptation, at the very least, would be enough for this to be one of my favorite episodes, and this was more than adequate. This was overall, there were some amazing peaks, amazing things it did. So yeah, I thought it was great, but not without problems here and there. And I guess I'll just get into them in just a second. So, it would be your favorite if you hadn't read the manga? Yeah. Okay, no problem, Shadow. No problem, no worries. Thanks for stopping by anyway. So we'll get into the memories in a bit, sounds of. I might be able to answer that, but there might be people better equipped to answer that in chat. We'll get into that in a little bit. So personally, starting with the negatives before we start gushing, or I start gushing, well, okay, in terms of adaptation, this covered the rest of chapter 120, and then most of the next chapter. So it was roughly, I'd say, a chapter that was covered, maybe a bit more than a chapter, which means that it's keeping on pace with the pacing for the first 2 episodes of this season, but it felt much tighter and more focused and less patty than the first 2, because I think this one is very dialogue heavy, so it takes longer time to adapt these, whereas the first 2 were action heavy, right? Why did it have so many animation directors? That's just the state of the industry. It was a bad schedule. They got crunched, right? But yeah, so that was in terms of the adaptation. So one of my first minor criticisms, I do think the expressiveness and some of the expressions could have been done better. We don't know, Panda. Actually, I don't know. Please, I don't know what's going to be adapted. I imagine. I don't want to talk about future adaptation stuff, just because this is, again, supposed to be spoiler-free, but I don't really know. Given the preview, I imagine maybe you'd be right. I'm not sure. So the expressiveness, the expressions. Isayama is, I think, one of Isayama's best strengths as an artist, as an illustrator, is portraying very subtle bits of expressiveness and communicating tons through these nuanced expressions. And so that's one of my favorite things about Attack on Titan's presentation as a manga. His ability to consistently tell you so much through so little, through these facial expressions. And the anime has been getting that very much spot on pretty much this whole season so far, but then this 4th episode, I think they stumbled here and there. There was a couple of expressions that I think didn't quite capture that subtle nuance, and we'll get into them in a bit when we go chronologically, but there's one Eren expression that I didn't like as much. It's not as subtle. There's I think a couple of Eren ones that I'll just talk about. So it's not a huge criticism. It's not a huge negative as much as, I guess, an absence of a positive, if that makes sense. Because it's very hard to do that, I think. To adapt those expressions, just because they're so subtly drawn and they have to be in motion and all of that. So yeah, I think more of an absence of a positive than a huge negative or anything like that, but worth mentioning regardless. Yeah, so that was one thing. I feel like the scene where we see Grisha looking at Eren was more impactful in the manga. It's just like you say, the expressions in the manga are incredible. I think those were okay. There were other ones I was thinking of, but understandable for sure. I agree, Zed Pro. Totally. Yeah. I'll get into Dawn Enjoyer. I'll get into that in just a second. Okay, so my second, Eren looking back at Carla and Grisha. I know what you mean. I have a screenshot of that, Drunk Eldian. Yeah, I know what you mean. We'll get into that. I don't think it was perfect, but I don't think it was a huge problem, that one. But yeah, that was one of the ones where I was going, I think that could be a bit softer. Yeah, I agree, lazy. And then the second, I guess, criticism I had was that the art was inconsistent, I think. Just here and there, I have some pictures that we'll get into soon, but it just felt like the character models were off sometimes. They were definitely the messiest in this episode than they were in, I think, this season so far. And, like, just scenes of Eren, sometimes things would look kind of weird. It would be inconsistent from one scene to another. Same with Zeke. Grisha was okay here and there. There would be some things that looked a bit off. It just wasn't as consistently sharp and on point as previous episodes. It was a little rough around the edges. That's what I thought. And then my last thing was that Mikasa scene that people are talking about. It was just weirdly executed. There are some things I like about it that they added, some things that just felt very weird. And we'll get into the specifics of that, but that scene is one of my favorites in the manga where Eren's looking at Kid Eren wrapping the scarf around Mikasa, and I didn't like how they did it super well. It's like a ton. I think it could have been done better. What's up, Gritty? But yeah, a lot of that can be fixed in the Blu-ray, and they weren't huge problems or anything, like I said. I think in general, the direction in this episode was fantastic in the second half, after the break, and adequate in the first. There were some very nice moments, but I think things could have been accentuated and elevated more. But the second half was certainly better, I think. That's where they seem to prioritize it. But nonetheless, as a full package, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I still think that it was one of my favorite episodes in general. But now to sort of get into the positives, the music placement. Dawn Enjoyer mentioned it a second ago. I think, so I'll talk about that, Pandit. I'll talk about that. And people in chat can no doubt chime in as well. While some expressions and animations can be kind of wonky at times, the replacement of soundtrack makes it an impact for the viewer, at least for me. That's a great segue. Yeah, we're going to talk about that as well, George Bailey. So, speaking of music placement, this season has been consistently amazing, I think. That continued here. I think every track used was spot on, accentuated exactly what it needed to accentuate, and knew the weight of each moment and how to communicate that. Because there are some moments that can be sort of, I think, misinterpreted, but the soundtrack was really good in terms of conveying the correct tone and feel and mood of all of these things. So yeah, I think the soundtrack, the music placement and music use was generally very good. And what really nailed this episode for me in general was the audio direction overall. When it came to voice acting, when it came to music placement and song use, audio direction this episode was phenomenal, especially in the second half. The slow piano theme in the cave scene was the best for me. Yeah, that was definitely a highlight. Maybe the best for me too. And when we're talking about audio direction, is it controversial to say that with regards to the role that each voice actor plays, Grisha's is my favorite? Is that controversial at this point? I need to look up his name. He is consistently phenomenal. Consistently. I think he's my favorite voice actor in the show, my favorite performance. I think at this point it's pretty set in stone for me. I think he's my favorite. And there are some great performances in the show. He's amazing. Hiroshi Tsuchida. Hiroshi Tsuchida. Phenomenal. Every time I think he can't one-up himself, he just does. The OST was on point. The final one they played over Eren's Dark Stare reminded me of Light of the Seven from Game of Thrones. Oh, nice parallel. Yeah, I get that too. And I think using silence for the big moment was a great choice, using ambient boiling tension sound, but no song. I thought that was a great choice. He's not that big in the anime industry. He's more of an actor and voice actor for Japanese dubs of foreign media. Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, he doesn't have a prominent role in the industry, but honestly might be my favorite. I first took note of him, I think, during season 3, episode 8, when he screams in agony as he sees his comrades being turned into titans off the wall, Carla as well. That was the first time where I really made note of how good the voice actor was. Then again, I knew he was good before, but this is where I went, holy shit, like, that is a lot. And then when I went back and rewatched some of the scenes, like the flashback to him showing Eren the serum and all that. Oh, sorry, Dinah. Yeah, Dinah, not Carla. And then again in season 4, episode 15, with the Zeke episode where he's yelling at Dinah, and Zeke's listening in. Just insanely good voice acting. Very like desperate and visceral. It just feels the most. I don't know. It's insanely good. Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about, Luciano. Where I'd go back. I went back and rewatch and noticed that afterwards. We'll see. Let's go. We'll see how long this goes and how I feel afterwards. But yeah, so that was a huge positive. Grisha's voice actor. In general, the voice acting was great, but Grisha stole the show for me, and definitely elevated the Grisha parts from the manga. Yeah, the Yuki Kaji transitions from menace to, we see Kid Eren to this menacing older one. Really good. Okay, so I think that's about all. I've gone over generally how I thought the episode was. The audio direction in particular. The visual direction was not as creative as I thought in the previous one, but they do some really good little things. Something that I've noticed that this staff likes to do sometimes is interlace moments of huge distress or emotion or drama with very quick cuts to different things. A great example of this is season 4, episode 4, where Eren's talking to his grandfather in the facility, like the medical facility for patients with psychological issues and all sorts of things, where we think that he's first a doctor and we find out that he's a patient, overcome by this guilt and these issues. What they do there, as Eren reminds him of his guilt and he, flashes back and it triggers him, it zooms in on his shallow breathing, zooms in on his eyes and the terror in his eyes, and interlaces all these cuts with him in his past, like him smiling, him and his family. But then we have a red scene of him, reminiscent of what happened to Faye, to his daughter. It intercuts with all these little things and creates huge tension and anxiety and distress, and it's very effective. And they did that in this episode too, to great effect, I think. What's your view on Zeke Yeager as a character? We're going to dive into the character specifically, primarily the main 3, as we go deeper in. But to sum up, he's one of the best characters in the series. He's phenomenal, and a beautiful contrast to Eren. Okay. Sorry, I probably, while I was talking, I probably missed some things. Eren, Grisha, and Zeke got voice actors to match the quality of their characters? Absolutely. Okay, I don't think I missed too much. Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I have finished the manga. Yep, but I will not be mentioning it here. My biggest problem with the episode was they didn't linger on Eren's expressions when he looked at Carla and Mikasa. Even if the art was inconsistent, it would have been more impactful. Yeah, like I mentioned before, subtlety in those expressions and maybe a bit more time to linger, like you said, would have made it hit harder, which is, I think, a general, more or less consistent issue with the first half of the episode. But nonetheless, it was able to make me very emotional at the same time. So not a huge indictment, but yeah, just certain scenes here and there could have been done with a bit more weight and subtlety. Diego, I just answered. We'll see how it goes. Actually, I don't think I repeated the question, so you might have missed it. But yeah, I don't know if I'll continue my top 100 today. We'll see how long this goes and how I feel after this discussion. If not, regardless, I will continue it Wednesday at the very least. Okay, Hiroyuki Sawano is involved in this part. Yep, him and Yamamoto are collaborating, as far as I know. Okay, so I think that's all I've got to say about the presentation. Now, one thing that I think I need to explain that I can get some help from some of the manga readers in chat. I'm going to explain it very simply in layman's terms, which is generally like very simplified, very summarized. In general, talking about these sorts of mechanics is not my strength, and articulating them, but I'll try. I loved it, Drunk Eldian. His exaggerated facial expression is brilliant. We'll get into it when we go chronologically. No complaints at all. In fact, that was a huge positive for accentuating his emotions and psychological state. Yeah, so we have Critty. Episode 420, nice. Yeah. So there is the mechanic here of Grisha being able to know that Eren and Zeke are present, are watching in on him on these events that are chronologically in their past. I'm not going to go super into detail, but I'm just going to summarize what I think, like how that works, and for the purposes of discussing this episode, how that came to be. Essentially, what it comes down to. Sorry, this track is too emotional with this explanation. Okay, so essentially the core here is that it's been established throughout the series that people who have the Attack Titan can experience memories and experiences from other Attack Titan users. We have back in season 3 during the Return to Shiganshina arc, Kruger experiencing memories and feelings from Eren in the future when he says you have to save Mikasa and Armin. So he looks into the future and experiences Eren's feelings and what he's experiencing, and he goes into Eren's perspective. Throughout the series, we've had Eren experience Frida's memories when he sees himself through her eyes in the mirror when she's brushing her hair. We see through Kruger's memories throughout that scene I was talking about, the whole that day plot twist. Throughout the whole thing, he experiences things from Kruger's perspective. And then also Grisha's memories, like he says multiple times. He felt himself, Grisha, crushing the innocent kids in the hideout of the King of the Walls like bugs. Like he's experienced all sorts of things from Grisha's perspective, because the Attack Titan, users of the Attack Titan are linked, and they can experience all these things, regardless of time, whether it be in the future, whether it be in the past. They're all linked, and they can experience these memories. What is happening here is that Grisha does not once see Eren physically himself, ever, throughout the entire episode. What happens is that he gets flashes of Eren's perspective in Eren's eyes, because he is linked to him, because they're both Attack Titan users. So every time he sees Zeke, you'll notice that Eren is behind him, in a very similar perspective from him. So he sees Zeke from Eren's eyes, not his own. And he sees him. So when they're in the basement, he sees him because Eren's behind him. When he goes to hug him, he sees him because Eren's behind him. So he's seeing things through Eren's eyes to see Zeke. That's how he sees Zeke, not through his own physical eyes, because he can't, because they're not present from his perspective. Through Eren's perspective, though, it's absolutely possible. So that's how he sees him. And when he's looking at Eren, he is not actually looking at Eren. He does not know what Eren looks like. But he knows that he's there because he sees himself through Eren's eyes, and through seeing that perspective of himself, he can know exactly where Eren is situated. So when he's looking at him, when he's got the key, he can see himself directly in front of him, and so he looks directly in that spot because he knows he's looking at him, and perhaps feels his energy, whatever energy the residual energy is coming off of him there. I can't imagine how trippy that would be, looking at yourself from a different person's perspective. Yeah. It's very sort of abstract, but logically it's completely consistent and coherent and makes sense. Grisha just viewing these things from a very Attack on Titan specific perspective. So yeah, that's essentially the core of how you understand how Grisha knows these things. Did I explain that okay? Is there still confusion when it comes to that? Yeah, he comments on Zeke's physical appearance, but not Aaron's, because he can't see Aaron because he's looking through his eyes. He wouldn't be able to see Aaron unless Aaron was looking through a mirror. Okay. Okay. So now when Zeke knows the truth, what do you think he would be, antagonist or protagonist? I don't know. Attack on Titan's very fluid, right? I don't know. It's when perspective's one of the main themes of a story like this. It's hard to put labels on those things. So I don't know. I don't really know Zeno. Sorry about that. I couldn't really answer. I think overall in the series, up till now, he's been an antagonist. That's been the overall impression, but it's very fluid. Grisha said to Eren to avenge his mother before Eren ate him. I think this is why Eren didn't let him see the fate of Carla then. Oh, okay, so we're gonna get into that as we go later in the episode, yeah. What do you think? Yeah, we'll get into that, the Jockster. Okay. Grisha remembers what Eren said to him in the memory by looking at the memory of Eren. Why is Eren able to purposely send memories to Grisha, though? So that, I don't think Eren is purposefully sending this to Grisha. He was shocked when Grisha saw Zeke the first time, so maybe he was able to harness it from that point on. This I'm unsure about. I don't know if Eren's able to do this purposefully with direct intent, or if it was just flashes, coincidentally. There's also the fact that it's not necessarily even time travel, because it's basically spectating memories rather than going to the past. Exactly. It is not time travel, it's not a time loop. None of that. Zeke's ideology still definitely makes him an antagonist to the core themes. Yeah, yes. Yes, thanks. Okay, cool. Oh, sorry, for whoever's posting links. I guess Nightbot doesn't like the links. Sorry about that. That's weird. I need to fix my Nightbot. Sorry. We'll after this stream I'll fix him. But yeah, so I don't know. I don't think that there was much intentionality from Eren's point of view. It's not clear if it's a conscious decision to send back memories. Yeah. Because at first, for sure, he was shocked when it happened. Okay, yeah. No, I know it's a bot guest. It just did that automatically. I need to polish up what Nightbot restricts and links like that. Sorry about that. Can what Eren said to Grisha in the chapel be seen as little nudges rather than straight up time travel? There is no time travel in this. It's essentially just him viewing different perspectives of them. They're looking at these memories. They're not physically there, and he's viewing their perspectives, and that is influencing his behaviors and thoughts. Yeah, so I think might be a semblance of Eren realizing it and then harnessing it somehow. I don't know the specifics, though, like Drunk Eldian said. Critty says, I think there is some confusion here, but Gil said on Discord that Eren is really making those decisions in the moment, and Gil interpreted that the moment Grisha saw adult Zeke is probably when Eren realized that their influence might play a part in the past. Yeah, I agree with all of that. So the more we talk about it, the more I think that, obviously he didn't know at first, but once he saw that, he clocked that, okay, like we can have an effect here, while it not being direct time travel or time loops. We are influencing these things. Something that's we need to make very clear is that Attack on Titan is a linear timeline. These events are not changing things. Everything that has happened will happen, and Eren realizes here that any acts that might influence Grisha are just sending time along where it's supposed to go. Which is why, to jump ahead a little bit, when Zeke sees that Grisha doesn't choose to kill the children and all that, he's going, this is not possible, because we know it happens this way. So what's going on? Are we changing the past? Like, that doesn't make sense. And which is why Eren realized in that moment that he had to step up and he had to influence him. So, point is, there is no altering the past. Everything happened as it happened in the first place. It is a linear line. It is straight. these events have happened, and by them enacting these things, by Eren doing these things, it is just making things as they have happened in the first place. Okay. I don't know quite what you're asking, Zeno. Armin already had Colossal. What is your view on... I'm not sure what you mean. What is my view on what? Yeah, it's fixed. It's a fixed timeline. It's not dynamic. Sorry, guys, if I'm missing questions. There's, like, a lot of questions and debate coming in, so it's hard for me to process it all at once. But, so when Grisha killed all the rice, he would have taken out Frida first, right? So he would have inherited the founding right there, and then we see him meet the children. Shouldn't he have had a similar moment to when Eren kissed Historia's hand as he made contact with royal blood? Maybe? Yeah, the discussion goes in mad with this. Like, I'm sorry, guys, it's impossible for me to answer everything here. Aren't they viewing the memories because he's at the coordinate? In the episode, it says that time in the coordinate is instant yet. Yeah, that's the precursor to this happening. Yep. I'm just chilling and eating cereal. That's the way to be, Moz. Okay, hold on. I need to fix Nightbot. Nightbot is going wild with the links. So, sorry about that. Let me just fix it here. Bear with me for 1 second. Bad Nightbot. Spam protection? Blacklist words, phrases, links. Okay, so I'm going to disable links. You guys should be able to post links now. Sorry about that. That should be fixed now. Nightbot worked, but it's working a bit too well. Music's a little loud, is it? Is the stream ending? No, it's just begun. We haven't even gotten into the episode. What did I miss, Luciano? Yeah, I didn't think it was loud. But anyway, this song's ending soon anyway. Okay, what did I miss, Luciano? Hey, Rodriguez, what's up? I answered you already, Zeno. I'm not sure what you're asking. If anything, it's too quiet. Oh, okay. It's something you had playing in the background. Okay. Obviously, what happened is in the past is fixed. So Grisha did kill the Rice family in the past. That is absolute. So the manipulation that Eren does can categorically not lead to any other results than what already occurred. Making sure what already occurs does occur. Yeah, that's essentially what I was saying, just more eloquent. You said time travel is not happening, but there's a paradox through influence through time that resembles time travel. Yeah, so it's hard for me to articulate the exact dynamics here. I guess what I'm trying to say is not traditional time travel, but they are affecting the past because their actions have influence, particularly Eren's, to set time along its proper course. So I guess it's a semantics thing. If you view that as time travel through influencing the past, then, then I guess it is. But it's not traditional in any sense. Do you think Eren manipulating Grisha affects his character development? Whose character development? If you mean, actually, I think it's essential to both of their character progression. What was it called in Steins Gate? The different world lines? The attractor field convergence. This is a bit different from that Steins Gate thing, because this is just a fixed timeline. Steins Gate has several kind of fixed timelines. It's a bit different. There's a bit of a distinction. So guys, this is not just to be completely straight up. This is not the stream to go to for a full-on explanation of every question you might have about these dynamics. that is not going to happen here. You might want to look up some things. Beware of spoilers, of course. You might want to ask some stuff on Twitter. There are answers out there to answer all your questions. I just am, like I said, this is one of my weakest things when it comes to Attack on Titan, the logistics and the mechanics. So you're not going to get every answer here, just to be straight up. I think we're about to finish this sort of discussion. We'll get back to it later when we get to those events chronologically, but just to be straight up, I'm not going to be capable of answering every question, aside from what I've answered. Shash had a good thread on Twitter. Sure, yeah, I'm sure he did. So if someone wants to link that, link should be okay now. Okay, yeah. So they're gonna, for anyone confused about more things, there's a thread that they're about to link in chat, so you can check that out if you'd like. But I think we're now gonna get into the actual content, chronologically through the episode, and talk about each scene and the character work and all of that. Please explain paths with full MLA citations. That's next stream. What I like to talk about primarily in this episode is what the effect it has on the characters and what it means for them, rather than the mechanical dynamic, the mechanical function, and how this all works. That has always been something I look into more, so that's more of my strength, more my speed than this. But hopefully, some questions have been cleared up, hopefully. Okay. Okay, so, let's go. So the episode starts... Okay, so the episode starts here. Yeah, Momo, it was to carry on the motivations he had from the start. And we're going to talk about Grisha's motivations, but it was essentially to just continue along that after his regression in the cavern. A rare bird shot in Attack on Titan, right? So I liked how they started the episode, kind of with a gradual introduction. No huge boom or bang or anything like that. We have this bird, ever-present symbol, and we have Baby Eren. The ambient sort of cooing sounds from Baby Eren sort of gradually come in. I think a lot of these shots look pretty sharp. And then the first sort of bit of character work that I want to talk about was in this moment. Again, so here's kind of what I'm talking about the character models. Okay, we'll go back. Oh, okay. But he's talking about someone else. Okay, this is kind of what I was talking about with the character models. Eren just looks kind of weird here. Like something about the bridge of his nose going into his eyes. It's very pointy, very angled. It's just not totally as consistent and sharp as maybe it was in previous episodes. But, you know, no huge deal. Just something I noticed here and there. And we see Carla again. Lovely Carla. It's why Grisha still passed on his power after asking Zeke to stop Eren. Okay, can you link it when we get to the Zeke material in the episode? If you're gonna be here still. If not, then you can just DM it and I'll bring it up later. Beautiful Carla. And then we have... Okay, so that's a bit too far ahead. Hey Slayer. How's it going? We'll go... We need a nice long song here. Okay. So what I take a lot from this scene, this opening scene here, is that Zeke is constantly saying, you know, must be nice for you to have this happy family to Grisha. Put on Zero's Cade. No, I cannot do that. Zeke is looking at Grisha and like talking with bitterness and just ill, like he's tons of negativity and bitterness, understandably, because of how he was raised. And he says it must be nice for you to have this happy, lovely family and ignore what you've done to me and your past family and your past sins. And he's very bitter here looking on. And I just feel a ton of sympathy for Zeke here. Nothing much more than that, just it's a very emotional moment for him, and you just really feel for him because here he's being shown right in front of his face the life that he desired his entire childhood and even still now, and was never granted. So you definitely feel a ton of sympathy for him. And then, actually, as we go along, we have this scene from, as they're leaving here, we have this scene, you love the atmosphere of this episode, it feels nostalgic, but in a way that isn't comfortable. It's foreboding, even in the peaceful memories. Yeah, there's definitely an underlying, there's an undercurrent of anxiety and tension, palpable tension, that sort of underlies the emotion and the sort of nostalgia, but it's definitely there. Okay, so we have this scene, for this expression from Eren that Drunk Eldian was talking about earlier, how he didn't like, I think, how it wasn't quite as expressive as it could have been. I have it here, and I think I do agree. I didn't have a huge problem with it, but in the... I can't really show it to the camera. Can I? You see his eyes there, right? There's just more softness here. Here, Eren looks much more disapprovingly. Much more. There seems to be much more bitterness and negativity, and maybe, I don't know. His face is very defined and hard, and it seems like very brusque. And there's a softness in the expressions in the manga that isn't quite captured here. There's a sentimentality and a little bit of a yearning in his expression, in my opinion, that we don't quite see. They could have made his eyes tremble a bit. Yeah, that would have been good. That would have been good. So not a huge problem. A bit of a divergence, I think, in the tonality of this expression, though. That's what Drunk Eldian was talking about earlier. What makes the manga chapter so impactful is just how much it shows with so little. Every panel has profound meaning for the characters and fabric of the story, but here in this episode, it's a little harder to feel what each of these memories is trying to show us. Yeah, because of that subtlety. I was talking about this earlier, Critty, before you came in, that Isayama, one of his greatest strengths, I think one of my maybe my favorite thing about him as an illustrator in his presentation is how he's able to convey, like you said, so much with so little, and through these just very nuanced expressions and images. And that's very hard to replicate in animated form. So I called it mostly a lack of a positive than a true negative, if that makes sense. But it's clear, I think it's clear to me that there are some expressions here and there that didn't quite capture that same nuance. There's the softness in the face, the difference in the line work, and all of that. Like you said, each line, it seems like each little bit of the illustration in these chapters was monumental and focused and deliberate, whereas parts in this episode felt less important than others, just because of, I don't know, there just seemed like less deliberate focus or less ability to communicate the sheer importance of every scene. Especially the use of memories and how they're presented in the manga. It's one of the most brilliant uses of the format. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so yeah, there's that expression. Then we have here, I didn't get a screenshot of it, but a lovely little touch is baby Eren. So he's grown up, he's a toddler now, he's able to walk, kind of, chasing after a butterfly. Since he was born, chasing after those wings, right? So I just thought that was interesting. Eren and Zeke look on. And then here, what I find is very, very interesting as they're looking on at Grisha, working as a doctor. And Eren looks on and Zeke looks on. What I find funny here is that Zeke in particular says, look at this. This is our true father. This is who Grisha Yeager truly is. He became a doctor to cozy up to the powerful people to get access to the founding titan and then carry out his plan and destroy everything and steal it. What I find funny here is now we know that there is an evolution of Grisha Yeager as a character when he came into Paradis, when he got it through when he entered the walls. He became much less of a restorationist and much more of a genuine, compassionate doctor. He took Kruger's words to heart. Kruger said to him, love someone within the walls, and he very much did. He loved Carla, he loved Eren. We'll get into his relationship with Eren and how it contrasts Zeke in a second, but I think an extrapolation of that love and care is becoming a honest-to-goodness doctor, as he was. Like, he was a doctor before, but at the forefront of his mind, the distinction is that now the forefront of his mind was who he is as a doctor rather than who he is as a restorationist, as we see through his hesitancy to follow through with the act. So what I find funny here is that Zeke is pointing to Grisha and he's going, "Look, this is our true father." He's pretending to be a doctor. What's funny is he's right, because he very much became Grisha Jaeger the Doctor, but not in the way he was intending it. Not in the way Zeke was intending to communicate that. Like, he's saying he's cozying up to these people for pragmatic and cold and brutal means, but the reality is, he very much was the Doctor. This was his true self. And Grisha proves his true intention behind being a doctor when he can't bring himself to kill the Rice family. Yeah, very Tenma-like. Yeah, like I mentioned, when he was unable to follow through with the act, exactly. So I find that that's a funny bit of irony there through Zeke's line. And that Kruger memory that fit with what we learned in this episode about the Attack Titan. Yep, absolutely. It was a difficult chapter to adapt, for sure. It was not an easy task at all. But at the same time, love someone within the walls is another step towards Eren, and Kruger knew about Grisha's life inside the walls with the Attack Titan power. Yeah, I agree with that. Is that framed in contrast to what I said? I'm not sure what you mean, Fakar. But yeah, so funny little line there. And then Eren says here, I like this moment because it's funny. Like, it's very petty, or I don't know. It's just funny from Eren. He's going, yeah, our father's an asshole, blah blah blah. I was brainwashed, and you're right. Now I'm no longer brainwashed. So I just thought it's a funny moment, and Zeke just carries on, whatever. But what I think it's important because, hey, thanks for stopping by. It's sarcastic, yeah. Thanks for stopping by, Propenkist. Glad to have you by. Just be careful about chat. There might be assholes or someone who try to intentionally spoil, so just be careful. So what I like about this is, post-time skip, Eren's become... There's been in this aura of mystery around Eren, this aura of impressiveness. He's appeared, I would say, postured to appear in control, but nonetheless he's been convincing to an extent, right? It's a front to an extent, given what we've seen in the story so far, because we can see that dualism throughout. But he has nonetheless embodied this impressive figure to a lot of people. You can't just gather this following through being very bad at portraying this figure, right, to the world. So post-timeskip, Eren is quite an impressive figure. But here, he's sarcastic, he's impetuous. It's just a moment where he's just going, let's just get on with this. Like, I'm sick of this shit. Yeah, I'm not brainwashed, whatever. Like, he's acting out like a little kid. Like, it's a little bit of a edgy teenage temper tantrum there. So I like it because it's a nice indicator that he, as much as he's matured in some ways, that kid is still very much there. Or that teenager is still very much there. He's still very childish in some ways. And yeah, so I just like this scene for illustrating that, as well as being pretty funny. The Hannes moment, yeah, I have a shot of that too, I think. Yeah, we'll get into Zeke's loneliness in a second, for sure. Some kind of nice scenery. And then you just feel immense sympathy for Zeke looking on here. And I don't know the song that was played during these scenes, but it was very good, very sweeping, very emotional, very nostalgic, while not being overly sentimental, I think. There was layers of sentiment, but it didn't go overboard, I don't think. Yeah, he's still, I don't know his exact age, but he could very well still be 19. But regardless, you get what I mean. There's still that kid spirit inside of him, right? So yeah, definitely not devoid of true love or care. I mean, you see in the last episode, him telling Zeke to stop before screaming. Like, that's just one example. And we're going to talk about Eren and these layers and how there might be contradictions in his psyche and that sort of thing. But yeah, I think it's been, up till this point, I think it's clear. I definitely thought when reading the manga that there was way more than meets the eye here when it came to Eren. Oh, sorry. No, yeah, I was referring to when I saw your comment, Safwa. I was talking about Zeke too. Like, I meant we'll talk about Zeke's loneliness later, and then I just went on to a different subject. Eren insinuated that they saw every day of his upbringing until the age of 10, and every time they had a happy dinner must have been like a knife to Zeke's heart. Yeah, again, nailing home that loneliness for Zeke. Like I said, your heart just goes out for him watching these things that he's been deprived of his entire life. And in the end, this is the crux of why he became the way he became. Devoid of that affection. Cassava gave it to him, thank goodness for that from his perspective, but nonetheless, he was still starved. He was still starved of it. But yeah, so these scenes are very emotional for that. Lovely little Hana scene, as they look on, and notably, Eren's expression here is he doesn't give much away here. And I think that's intentional. I don't think that's them not being able to convey Isayama's intentions in these specific scenes. I think it's just meant to be unreadable here. What is he thinking? And then we have the scene with Kenny right over there as we go through these memories. I really like this scene as the doors close, just visually pleasing. That's a shocker. Eren is such an open person. Yep. Kenny crumbs. Yep. Just nice shots here and there. Not much to say other than it looks pretty cool. And then so we have here, they learn that Grisha knew the location of the hideout far before they thought he first learned about it. He had known about it this entire time. Eat your little veggies. Eat your veggies, little me. Yeah. So Grisha knew about this entire time, which is a huge shock to Zeke. Like, he can't believe it because he kept this close to him. He kept this information close to him without acting on anything this entire time. Zeke being so obsessed with saving Eren is such an interesting part of his character. You got to feel for him. I don't think he knows what to do with all the anguish. Yeah, it's really interesting, Zeke's motivations, because I was asked, I think, last week. I was asked last week about the nature of Zeke's love for Eren, how I interpret it. What I think about his love for Eren is that there are multiple dimensions to it that some of them misinterpretations, some of them a crux of it being his loneliness, that essentially lead to him feeling as if lead to his love for Eren being unconditional. And you can't really have one without the other. So they asked me, would Zeke have loved Eren in this way if these factors weren't present, if he didn't misinterpret Eren's intentions and how he grew up? And I think the answer to that is no. I don't think he would have loved him in the same way. But there are so many contributing factors, so many amalgamation of things. He wants to see Eren as a kindred spirit because of his loneliness, because of his lack of affection and lack of connection. And suddenly seeing this, he feels fulfilled that he finds a kindred spirit, someone who's potentially experienced what he's experienced, to share in his pain. Yeah, I'll get to that in a second. And so I think there's a lot of factors here that nonetheless coalesce into Zeke having immense love and affection for Eren here, which is why he continually tries to make him understand. The whole reason they're here, of course, is so he can show him that he's mistaken in his impressions and to teach him the truth from his perspective, because he believes he's been indoctrinated. It's shocking to Eren too, and I think that makes Eren realize that Grisha isn't strong enough to fulfill this mission by himself because he already backed out of it this time. Yeah, it's subtle, but Eren's eyes are raised here. I think it's shocking to him as well, like Critty said, which is another gear started going in his mind here. Like, he's had this in his back pocket the whole time. Maybe he might not be strong enough. So that is something he definitely probably clocked here. There's some weird dynamic with Zeke trying to convince him he was brainwashed. It is... I think it's totally consistent. Like, I don't know exactly what you mean by weird, but I think it's totally consistent with his character. When you've been might as well just dive into this now. When you've been lonely for your entire life, what Zeke thirsts for more than anything is this familial love, or love in general. All he's wanted for is for his father to hug him and tell him he loves him genuinely and to play ball with him. And Eren is essentially... oh yeah, this is the Rice family hideout, and he was surprised that he found it already. Yeah. Eren... yeah, I'm not saying you were criticizing it. I just didn't know what you meant by weird, in terms of his care for Eren. Yeah, so... For someone in Zeke's perspective, it's entirely understandable for someone who's been so lonely, so deprived and starved of affection and love. Once he's confronted with the possibility of Eren having gone through what he did, that sense of kindred spirit, he jumps at it, right? The loneliness, the longing, the yearning for connection he's felt, that can be fulfilled by pouring himself into his brother and sharing this special relationship and bonding over being able to relate to one another. And so his loneliness is quelled. The minute Eren says that he agrees with him when he lies back to him back in Marley, when he tears up, I think his loneliness, to an extent, is quelled. To an extent, not completely, of course. There is irreparable damage there. But that's immense for Zeke. And so I think there's a sense of confirmation bias here, psychological confirmation bias. He wants to prove to Eren, you've been brainwashed, you do agree with me. Like, there's no way, you definitely agree with me. You think the same way I do. You've just been indoctrinated just as I was. We have these same experiences. We have to. And as the memory lane keeps going, and we get more and more evidence that maybe Eren was just loved and wasn't indoctrinated, I think Zeke is trying... The motive for this kind of starts to shift a bit. From convincing Eren, that's still always there. He always wants to convince Eren of his ideals. But to actually do this for himself as well, to quell his loneliness, to say, no, this is definitely true. He's definitely still been indoctrinated. We've gone through the same things. I can't be alone in this world. I just had this revelation that I wasn't alone given to me, and you're just going to take that all away right now? Yes, he's trying to convince himself that he's not alone, when the sad tragedy is, he definitely is. And so I think this thing comes in the back of his mind as they're going through these memories, and as he gets more proof that Eren had not gone through the same things he did, was not indoctrinated, was cared for. He just wants to continuously go through it and prove to himself and convince himself, towards the end, maybe even more than Eren, that they are the same. But as Eren says, yeah. But as Eren says, we are not the same later on. It's very emotional, very complex dynamic there, and very sad at the same time. The fact that he's not bitter at all towards Eren is refreshing. I feel that angle is way less interesting and unique in terms of character motivation. Yeah, because... Yeah. I would agree. This is definitely a way better path than that bitterness in terms of Zeke's character. I liked when Zeke just saw how he was wrong about the Nugrish, and the hug between them was so emotional, done way better than in the manga. Oh, interesting. Better than the manga. I'm built different, bro. It is realistic, absolutely. This is something people do all the time. People try to convince themselves, even though deep down they keep getting fed evidence that the uncomfortable truth is the truth, is the reality. Yeah, Eren says that Zeke is someone who has no other way to define himself except in relation to Grisha, while Eren, on the contrary, is himself and has always been. Yeah. Man, I was literally about to talk about that. I talked about it in my discussion for the episode, and I was going to get into that later. Gritty stole my thunder. But yeah, we'll talk about that too. That's a great little dynamic there as well between the two brothers and how they foil one another. It's so good. That flips on his head when Eren is the one showing him the truth, and Zeke ends up understanding more of Grisha. Oh yeah. That is, as of right now, Attaché, that's up for debate. I think that's left open-ended here. But yeah, interesting look here from Eren as they both learn this about Grisha, and Zeke begins clocking it. Yep. Great expressions here. They nailed this one. And they see here, as Grisha hugs Eren, yeah, you know what? He was loved. And Grisha and Zeke says, turns out he learned from his past mistakes. I guess he loved his second son and didn't love me. And that's such a hard reality to come to terms with for reasons we just described. Reiner looks at Zeke across the saloon, chuckles, and goes, there's only room for one. You and I are the same dynamic with Eren, partner. Yeah, pretty much diametrically opposed in terms of how Eren views that. But yeah, here they look on. Again, very sad scenes for Zeke. Your heart goes out to him. He's obviously deeply flawed as a person. He's done some terrible things, but it's, given the perspective we have on him, it's so hard to not feel for Zeke here. And then we get to the basement. Yeah, because of how much Zeke saw Eren as a kindred spirit and the one and only person who could understand and share his trauma. Yep. And being shown that that isn't the case is absolutely the loneliest feeling in the world. And it's much... There's that concept, right? When you're in a position of hopelessness, it is much easier and more comfortable, ironically, to go on believing that there is no hope, to go on believing that there's no fulfillment, than to be given the hope and given the fulfillment and the possibility to grab more and more gratification from life than you thought was possible, and then to have that snatched away. And then so this is all sort of visual way of it manifesting as Zeke tries to deny that possibility because it is so painful to come to terms with, to have it snatched away. We're not really power scaling the amount of suffering they went through, Osa, but just the dynamics they have with Eren. Zeke kind of reminds me of Illumi. Illumi is trying to convince Killua to go back to the family, like Zeke is trying to convince Eren was brainwashed, that twisted love. Interesting take. I can see that, yeah. But the implication here from Zeke, as he accepts that Eren was loved, is a lot less twisted in Zeke's case. Yeah. Illumi's is a bit more twisted, but I see the parallels for sure. So Zeke, the implication here was that Zeke, learned from his mistakes and then forgot about his mistakes. That's what Zeke assumed. At least that's the implication I always got. But that's not the case. He falls asleep, like with this photograph under his arm. Eren sees it, and then a really emotional moment that kind of got to me a little bit. It just kind of thinking about it and talking about it gets to me, as we see that Grisha has not forgotten. He's not forgotten any of his regrets as he moans Zeke's name in his sleep and realizes his mistakes. Sorry, I think I missed one. It is also interesting that both of their missions are the cause of their loneliness at this point of the story, as Eren pushed away all of his loved ones to fulfill his, and Zeke couldn't form any relationships because it will get in the way of its mission. Interesting. And from Zeke's perspective, the one person he could have to quell this loneliness is Eren, but this is being snatched away from him, whereas Eren sort of accepts the pure loneliness of it and does not have harbor much hope for it, it seems like. Interesting take. Okay. So very emotional moment here, and this is where he first sees Zeke through Eren's perspective. And they're both shocked. I think I missed an expression here. Eren, I missed the shot, but there's a scene of Eren looking pretty shocked, and this is where we were talking about before, where he first starts realizing, I might be able to influence these things, and harness this. So, sorry, I missed out on one of the shots, but there was that little scene there. And then this is the last scene before the OP. Next memory, Zeke, or next step, whatever it is he says. And this is where, as Zeke begins to see that his father still was thinking about him, Eren begins rising in prominence and taking the lead here. Bit of a shift in the power dynamic. I also like how this moment shows how this time travel is really just flashes of memories. So even when Zeke is standing right in front of him and he sees him for a brief second, he's immediately like, oh, no one's there. Even as he's just standing there, right? Because he gets a flash. He gets a flash of Aaron's perspective, but it's not a constant stream. Otherwise, he would just keep looking, right? But then he blinks and he snaps out of it. That's a great way to indicate that these things are just integrative flashes in his consciousness that he sees for a brief second. But in this situation in particular, it's very inconsistent and fluid and dynamic. It's not a constant stream. Yeah, that's how we see Zeke. Yeah. Great place to put the OP. The show really loves to go back and forth with making Grisha and Zeke, but especially Grisha got cut off. Oh yeah, you hit enter too soon. Yeah. But yeah, so I think this is a pretty good spot for the OP too. I wouldn't have minded them starting with the OP like they did in the last episode as well, but can't complain about this. And then we have post-OP, beautiful baby boys, very cute, as they're waving to Grisha. And, yeah, you're seeing your son for the first time in forever, and he looks so old, yeah. Most people I see react to it saw it as Grisha seeing Zeke tangibly as being there, but then he wouldn't sit back and down confused again and say this must be a dream, yeah. It's a ton of information to take at first. So it's hard to understand and grasp it all, but yeah, that is what we're talking about here, what Critty's been saying, is how he's been seeing him. It isn't traditional vision, seeing him in front of you. It isn't that constant stream, like I said. It's flashes. It's very abstract. So is the direct contact between Grisha and the brothers just metaphoric? Do you mean like Eren placing his hand on his shoulder? I had a feeling that was physical. Or I had a feeling, like, I thought when Eren placed it, it was physical, but maybe I could be wrong about that. But Grisha hugging Zeke, for example, that was, again, like you said, abstract, but he sees him and he knows where he is, and so it feels very real because of the nature of the, like Luciano says, the memory. Okay, cute boys. And then here, Zeke is continuing. Okay, yeah, Eren places his hand on his shoulder there, but in the manga there's no indication that he's corporeal or has weight, while in the anime you see him putting his hand to move Grisha's shoulder a bit. Small misstep, maybe. Okay, yeah, so it could be very much that the anime conveyed that weight when they weren't quite supposed to. Yeah, Propenkist goes back and forth, making Grisha seem terrible but also sympathetic. You didn't think you'd feel for him again after the Zeke backstory episode, but they nailed it, yeah. Absolutely, no one's black and white. We'll get into Grisha's psychology more, absolutely. So yeah, and then here Zeke is talking about, so yeah, you weren't indoctrinated, you were loved. And then so why on earth are you going along this path? Why are you doing this? Why are you betraying me? Why don't you think the way I did? Oh, he doesn't touch him, just gets close in the manga. Oh, I see. And then, yeah, so he's wondering here, like, what the hell made you this way? Why are you built so different? And then Eren answers him. He says, hold on, let me read the passage from the manga. Because it's slightly different in the anime translation. He says, I am just me. I always have been. And this goes on further along in the anime. I am just me, I always have been. And that is key. Like, there are very few lines, I think, that can define characters and their internal psychologies and how they look at certain things. But that line is defining for Eren and how he sees himself. Yeah, I am just me, I always have been. Yep. And so there's a lot of things to talk about here from the moment I was born. Yeah, I like the manga version a bit better as well. So there's lots of things to delve into here. He is who he is. As Critty was saying before, in comparing himself to Zeke, we're getting a bit further along in this scene, but I think we can just talk about it here. As we flash forward and we see what Eren did to the monsters who were attacking Mikasa and her family and were trying to take her captive, he is who he is. If someone tries to take his freedom away, he's going to take it from them. This need, this monstrous hunger, this thirst, this purity that manifests in multiple ways. And so what he insinuates here is that Zeke is formed as a person from the outside in. His experience, Zeke's experience, and the way he's been raised, and all that he's known, is why he is the way he is. He is taking a jab here at Zeke's sense of self. Eren is a twisted man, by the way. Eren is absolutely twisted. And so he's taking a jab here by saying, you have been formed by your experiences. Again, nurture versus nature. Your sense of self is so flimsy and insubstantial. You're formed in this way, and you are just fighting the ghost of this father you resented and his dream and all of that. If you take all that away, what even are you? Like, where is your identity? Where does your identity lie? What is your sense of self? And so that's what he says about Zeke. He takes this jab at him, and he contrasts himself. So he says that Zeke is 100% defined by his experiences, essentially. Again, very cruel. He's saying he's like not a person of his own. Doesn't have an identity of his own. Whereas he says, I myself have been this way since the moment I was born. Yeah, this is just who I've always been. And it's interesting to delve into Eren's mindset there, to see things in that way. And you see where he's coming from, because I'm not saying that Zeke has no sense of individuality at all. I'm not saying that I completely 100% agree with what Eren's saying, but you can see where he's coming from. Because Kid Eren, Kid Zeke, totally different people. And you can... Eren has been influenced in certain ways throughout his journey by his experiences, but this core tenet of his, this monstrous purity, has always been there, right? From the beginning up until the end, this last frame. Eren is literally based in the original sense of the phrase, yep. Eren really dislikes the idea of being influenced and shaped by his circumstances instead of it being his nature. So I imagine all this time with Zeke trying to gaslight him into thinking that it is the case really annoyed him, so he took that jab at him. Yeah. Also, I think what factors into that is that Zeke, as a result of his experiences, ended up buying into an ideology that is diametrically opposed to his. And I think he has some bitterness at that as a result as well. You can say that Zeke was made, but Eren was born. Yeah, from this perspective, yeah. It's implied that they literally just lurked and followed Grisha for years and not just these memories alone. Yeah, they show splices and bits, but it's implied that it's much longer. So he must have been pretty tired, yeah. And so the dynamic here, that's from Eren's perspective, this contrast. There's also that aspect where Eren said he used to spend all his days sat around doing nothing until he saw the look in Armin's eyes talking about the outside world, which is when he realized he wasn't free. Yeah, there's also that aspect. So that's kind of what I was going to get into in a second, because Eren says he's been this way since birth, and yes, he's had this monstrous nature inside of him and all of that, but is that completely the case? Was that always inherently a part of him? Would he have been this way regardless of which environment and world he was born into, which setting he was born into? If he was born in 21st century America, would he think that way? I don't think that the story, personally, this is my opinion, I don't think that the story tells us that that would be the case. I think that there are these things ingrained in him at a more fundamental level, fundamental base level than Zeke by far. But I also think that he wouldn't have become this way in a different setting. The high school spinoff. I actually have, it's been so long since I read that. So perhaps that actually might contradict what I just said. If it did, please let me know. I think it's more important that Eren believes that and will act based on that belief no matter what. Yes, he has this surefire belief in that, and a different kind of freedom. It does contradict. Okay, yeah. So fair. So ignore what I just said. On one hand, Eren seems like the one and only character in the story who was shaped by his nature and not by the things that happened to him. Yet there are definitive moments when he first realized that he wasn't free. Yeah. So I think it's sort of a coalescence of both. I think there's the idea that he was like this from birth. There are some things that he always has been and always will be. But there are also key moments that also defined him and also defined who he would be. That if they came about differently, he wouldn't have turned out this way. The high school elaborates on this since he dreams of a zombie apocalypse to give him a sense of purpose and then starts thinking about causing a world-ending disaster himself. Okay, so yeah, that goes directly against what I was saying, and it's, okay, yeah, fair. So that's important. Gotta go, but I'd like to say one thing about the Mikasa scene. I actually really like it, except the world... oh, it's too bad right before we were about to talk about it. But, okay, thanks for stopping by, Luciano. I'll just finish reading this. Instead of one expression, we got 3: anticipation, sadness, and one of longing. And the "it's warm" made me feel emotional, but then the cut immediately to Zeke's face is very jarring. See you. Yeah, that's more or less what I got from it, too. Yeah, I think I agree. Maybe back in an hour. All right, sounds good. Thanks for stopping by, even if you can't. Okay, I don't know the nature of how we're supposed to interpret the high school AU. If it's actually indicative of Eren's character or if it's just a joke. Either way, so sorry, I've been diverted a bit. I'm glad the story went with no, Eren was always this way since childhood, because once they introduced time travel, my first assumption was that adult Eren was going to somehow influence his child self here, just like he did with Grisha, but no. Yeah, Eren's always been this way. Yep. And the nature versus nurture contrast is very interesting. In my opinion, Eren knows that he can't have that absolute freedom from his circumstances, but he will pursue it as much as he can regardless. Yeah, so let's get into this. So yeah, it's sort of what Critty said. He's always been this type of person, and that's unshakable. But at the same time, there are key moments that also define him. And so some things about him have some basis in his environment, but I think in this moment he tries to ignore and dismiss that, and he says, we're not the same at all. Like, we're totally different. You won't find a kindred spirit in me at all. I think partly because of what I mentioned, also because of what Zeke represents, and he doesn't want to have commonalities with someone who is, again, so diametrically opposed to him ideologically. So we can show something about how Isayama thinks about them. Yeah, so I think it seems like you can definitely derive some things from it. Hey, Dragonite. I'm good. Hope you're doing all right. This discussion is pretty hefty, so lots to talk about, but it's going well, yeah. Isayama did say, though, that he wanted the high school cast to tie into the story and what he was writing in the manga. Okay, yeah, so I think it can be indicative of this. I wouldn't know. I watched that or read that once a long time ago and don't remember much from it. But yeah, so Eren. So all the stuff I said about Eren and his attitude towards Zeke and all of his jabs and how he opposes him. Sorry, what was I saying? So he continuously emphasizes how much they're not alike, and another reason he tries to dismiss that idea in reference to their opposition is because of his ideas of freedom. You know, it's totally different. He constantly stresses post-time skip that he is free. He says it to Mikasa, he says it to Armin, and he says, I hate anything that isn't free. And here, again, there's that same sort of vibe here of him very bluntly, forcefully saying, I am free. You know, I'm not like you. And I think there's something to be grasped from the way in which he front-loads this. He's very forceful in getting that across. And is he totally secure in that? Because we have the moments where Sasha dies and he just laughs in sheer futility, just laughs at his own powerlessness, it seems like, in the parallel with Scream, right? I think there's clear indications that he does see some futility in this. He does see some lack of agency, particularly through that laugh. That's a very key moment. And so I think the forcefulness from which he conveys this, I am free, I hate anything that's a slave, you're like cattle. Is he genuinely saying that towards them because he feels that towards them, or is he saying that because he hates that weakness in himself and how he is unable to enact the freedom that defines him? Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying, Critty, yeah. Does he hate them exactly, or is he just directing that towards them? You're just as useless as you ever were. Yep, absolutely. But he's directing it towards himself because of his inability to change certain things. And so I think that all of that coalesces and is cohesion. It has this cohesion in the way he says these things. I am nothing like you. I am free. We are nothing alike. I've always been this way. We are not like, you won't find this weak soul in me. He tries to dismiss that because it is extremely disturbing for him to think of not being able to change these things. And that is a unique sort of loneliness and sadness for Eren, too. Yeah, the table scene, he constantly, well, okay, not constantly, but the way in which he says that is very, I found parallels between that and the way he's saying these things to Zeke and his hatred towards what he says to them. It all coalesces really beautifully to show you that, is he lying to himself a little bit? Does he hate himself here? Is this a demonstration of self-hatred? There are a lot of ways you can interpret this, and I personally buy into that. So yeah, is that true freedom? You know what I hate the most in this world? Those who aren't free. Exactly. The line at the table scene. Eren wants to get distance from everyone this season. Maybe he also cares for Zeke and wants to protect him in some way. I mean, he knows the future. Perhaps. But if there is, he doesn't give much of an indication in this at all. He completely twists the knife multiple times in this episode. But likewise, like you just said, another parallel with the table scene is he tries to twist the knife into Mikasa and Armin as well, for what we can assume is separating them. He hates not having that agency. He despairs at the fact that he knows so little and feels so powerless, especially early on, but it never leaves him, the constant yearning for freedom. Yep, and it manifests in this way, I think. He's twisting his true feelings and lying. There's always a bit of truth to it, yep. Self-loathing, yep. He's had that self-loathing, particularly when he starts learning the sheer scale of his powerlessness earlier on in the series, but it remains a constant fixture in my opinion. To tell a convincing lie, mix in a bit of truth, yep. I love that line from Pixis, and it definitely applies here. It's funny Eren saying Mikasa is a slave to her own supposed innate Ackerman nature, yet he sees his innate nature as freedom from any outside influence, or maybe he's slightly insecure that his innate nature could imply that he's also not free and a slave to it, like he said to Mikasa. That's more or less what I get from that as well, Drunk Eldian. There are insecurities everywhere. Like, it's how the old saying goes, if you're truly secure and truly confident, you don't have to constantly tell people what you're supposedly confident about, right? You don't constantly have to say and be this forceful about it and this aggressive. It's clear that Eren is not totally comfortable and secure about these things that he's saying. Also the same in Eren's conversation with Zeke, he says, I will put an end to 2,000 years of Titan domination by my own hands, but he's pretending to agree with the euthanasia plan. Yeah. Good God. Okay, I gotta move on a little bit. So we've talked about that here. We have this. I love this shot. I just love how it's illustrated. The eyes look beautiful. Attack on Titan eyes. Hey Alex, did you like the episode? Yeah, I did, Yumi. I thought it was really great. Earlier in the VOD, we talked about sort of the minor things I had problems with, but overall I thought it was a great experience. And I really loved it. It absolutely wears on the brain. And what I love about this scene here, with regards to that, how tired does he look, right? He looks exhausted. He's just so tired of having to do whatever he's doing, whatever he's had to carry. And I think that all goes back to also him saying to Zeke, yeah, I'm done, the brainwashing's done. Let's just move on. Like, he is so exhausted, you can just tell. And I think that really gets across in these illustrations. Like, he's exhausted here. I mean, in general, the fact that Eren is so desperate to gain freedom from his circumstance betrays an insecurity. If he wasn't, he would accept that they shaped him and move on, yeah. Yeah, it's a conveyance, sort of a manifestation of sort of reaction formation and opposition to that idea. Yeah. I get what you mean, Shadow. My boy is depressed out of his mind. He truly is. He's tired. Well, there's an umbrella of terms you can apply to Eren here. Baby boys again. Needed some warmth this episode for sure. I think the sheer weight of Eren's burden and the way he isolates himself and tries to take it all upon himself all adds to the idea of him being tired, which in my opinion is one of the most important aspects of his character. Yeah. From the beginning, from the beginning when after he kissed Historia's hand and saw what he saw, immediately you can just see this immense weight on his shoulders. Immediately he's exhausted. Immediately you see that exhaustion in his eyes. And that just continues, and in these little scenes, it manifests. Sorry, Jotaro. Spamming caps. Let me fix Nightbot. Getting a bit antsy here. Sorry. Excess caps, that's fine. I'll disable excess caps. Just in moderation, right? Okay. Our fates ride on you. He's lived ever since then with that in his heart, yeah. No problem, Jotaro. I didn't do that. It was Nightbot. Nightbot's going a bit haywire. Or not haywire. I need to polish it a bit. I've always felt bad for Zeke. He's always been manipulated in some way or another, and the only times he's had a true father figure in his life, they've been taken away from him. With Cassava, he didn't have long because of the Titan curse, and when Grisha said that he loved Zeke, it was a past memory after he's long dead. Yeah, that is portrayed beautifully through the tone of that scene, and I'll talk about that in a bit. Jean saying to him, whether all those lives that were sacrificed for your own sake, whether all those lives that were sacrificed were for your sake, you better prove it. Yeah, prove you're worth it. Sorry, I butchered that like twice, but you better prove you're worth it, essentially. It is inevitable that someone in Eren's position is going to have this hoisted upon his shoulders. That's just how it is, and you can't blame Jean for saying these sorts of things. He could have been more tactful about it, but nonetheless, he's a human being too, with his hopes and wishes and loved ones riding on Eren. And so it's just the unfortunate truth of it is that Eren is just it's inevitable he's going to have this pressure, and that just continues further along in these scenes here. Top 100 later? I don't know, Tyke. Depends on how long this goes. It's already been going longer than I anticipated, so if by the end of it I feel like maybe I just want to save it, I might just do it Wednesday. Would you be able to come on Wednesday or no? A quick flash of baby Eren and Grisha. Oh, and then again, this monstrous side of Eren that we were talking about before, when he attacked them. Yeah, I think some fans have misinterpreted Eren's behavior post-timeskip a bit. Dude isn't an unfeeling badass, he's just exhausted. Yes, the unfeeling badass is what well, maybe paraphrased a bit, but the sort of image he's trying to portray to, I think the interpretation you can get from the table scene, he's trying to back them off. He's just gonna look as tired as Eren. Grisha's voice actor is the best in the Japanese dub, and that's saying something, because there's so many great voice actors. Yeah, Dragonite, I was saying earlier that Grisha might be my favorite, the voice actor for him might be my favorite in the whole series. Yeah, there's so much to delve into here. And then, yeah, this is where they both realize, I like this shot of them seeing and realizing the sheer monstrousness, if that's a word, of Eren. Attaché, I think that might just be the approach they took. I think that just might be the approach they took, the specific illustrators for this episode, the animation directors. Because I didn't really notice that much of a distinction in the manga for it. I don't know about Wednesday afternoon, but I'll be free the rest of the day, I think. Either way, don't worry too much. Yeah, I have a feeling, Tyke, that I probably won't be able to do the top 100 after this. Because, naturally, this episode discussion's going on quite long, but that's fine. I mean, it's worth it, right? Eren in Season 1 and 2 would be my favorite, but it makes sense he's simply not as vocal from then on. Yeah. It's very tough. He's in the conversation, Logan. He's in the conversation for it, for sure. And so this is the scene I was talking about earlier, where they're looking down there. Eren continues to say these things to Zeke, and we have this look from Eren, sort of one, Grisha's always yelling for real, that's true, and his yells are brilliant. But yeah, it's the yells that really dig deep for me. Yeah, like we were talking about before, Fakar, it's like, again, that essence of trying to convince oneself, trying to, get oneself up for it when you don't really entirely believe these sorts of things yourself. Try to accept the burden and the everything that you're supposed to carry out, right? So Eren grabbing Hanji in that scene seemed more like him being desperate and frustrated when he says, "If there's another way, then tell me it is." Yeah. So I was thinking specifically about the mirror scene. Sorry, I think my lines got twisted a bit, but there's always this essence of him having to convince something, whether it be himself, whether it be others, of his ability to do these things, and whether it be freedom, whether it be being this person, etc. I was specifically talking about the mirror scene. I wasn't talking about him talking to Hanji. But that, I think the original comment might have been referring to Hanji. I'm not sure. Might have misinterpreted. The obvious ones are Erwin, Grisha, Levi, Ayane Sakura. Yeah, she's great too. His talk with Pixis and Trost in Season 1? All the way back in Season 1? Yes. Yeah. Which line are you thinking about, Critty? Yeah, he experiences the memories, which again leads into a lot of why he is traumatized, feeling that loneliness and exhausted, experiencing these things. He doesn't say he just saw it; he felt what Grisha did, and so that really wears on a person, on their mentality. It's really interesting seeing how this burden that was placed on Eren since the beginning, and how it was shown in through his imposter syndrome, and then the depiction of how that's changed over time. Uh, yeah, yeah. The many different ways in which he interacts with these burdens and responsibilities thrust upon him is really interesting, and I think indicative of his mental state throughout different parts of the series. How's it going, Addy Honor? Addy, I definitely butchered that. I'm sorry, Addy. How's it going? Okay, and then so this is the expression Eren has towards Mikasa. I saw it getting some grief on Twitter. I don't think it's awful or anything, but I do wish, again, it had a bit more of that softer nuance that I described earlier. In the manga, there's a large amount of sentimentality on his face as he looks at his younger self putting that scarf on Mikasa, which really gets across the idea that he's looking upon these with nostalgia and sentiment and like heavy emotion, or heavy longing, I should say. Right there. That is the expression, and they do this expression, but they do it in this scene. Let me just move camera. They do it here, so it's lesser emphasized. So just different approach. And then there's a weird cut right after this that I wasn't a fan of. Pixis says, "What do you think? Can you move that boulder?" And Eren says, "I honestly don't know whether I can or not." Then Pixis says, "Let me rephrase the question. Will you do it or won't you? Which is it?" And Eren says, "I will do it. I don't know whether I can or not, but I will do it." Oh my god. Oh, this story is so good. Critty. It's like poetry. It rhymes. Oh, that's so good. Yeah. Another element of Eren that's been there from the start, right? Yeah, that's what came to mind, yeah. But yeah, it is cute that he's blushing here, and I like that they added in Mikasa's voice, like her saying it's warm. I liked that touch. I don't know if you guys noticed, but there's a very slight echo filter on the voices for the people in the memories in the first half of the episode, which is really cool. Not sure if it was there in the second, because there was lots of like frantic fights and yelling and stuff. But yeah, the story is beyond words. I might have to update my top 100 a little bit, you know? I don't know if I watched the entire thing, Jotaro, but I know the meme. Then we have more of this, more traveling through the memories. Attack on Titan's in your top 100? You never know. Since you've read the manga, I wonder if you are a manga reader or anime only. Well, like you just said, I've read the manga. Oh, since you have the manga. Oh, yes, sorry, I've read the manga. Yep, I've read the manga, Ghost Rookie. Oh God, sorry, that was a very violent change. But yeah, then they go to here. They as they continue going through the memories here, and they have here a very sad scene of a boy and his father playing ball. Very clear allusion to Zeke and what he's been deprived of and what he saw as a kid when he would be coming back from warrior practice or warrior training, whatever. And he'd see a father playing with his son, and he'd feel complete envy at that, and go home to Grisha, and Grisha would just go, "Yeah, let's start studying." That's a very sad parallel there. Yeah, I love the color palette too. It's just a very violent change. The sound of the ball bouncing was great too. Yeah, audio design in general was really good. Eren looking good. Yep. Isayama really likes to rub good father-son relationships in Zeke's face multiple times. Yeah. Eren twists the knife. Isayama twists the knife. Zeke being Zeke is suffering. The Survey Corps are very much about that fake it till you make it mentality. If you also think about Hanji saying, "What are you talking about? Defeat is all the Survey Corps has ever known." Yep. It reminds me of Arcane, where Jace says that Piltover is used to failing. Like, I'm paraphrasing, but Piltover is used to failing, and it is through how we respond from that where we progress. He says that to Medarda's mother. And, but the funny thing with Jace is that what are the like, this is a bit of a, I'm extrapolating, but specific to Arcane, what are the repercussions for these failures? Like, this is not just failing in class. The mistakes you make here in this specific situation are paramount. Like, they are monumental mistakes. So can Piltover continue to keep failing in this way? Yeah. Anyway, so that was just a side note. But yeah, Arcane and Attack on Titan definitely have these sort of these societal, thematic, hierarchical parallels and progress. Yeah, exactly. Jotaro, no spoilers at all. None at all, please. I don't care if you tag it. Don't discuss the manga. Don't read that. Like, please, no spoilers at all whatsoever. Even if you say there's a spoiler, I don't want any in the chat, because someone could just accidentally see something that they don't want to see. So just, yeah, thanks, Freddy. Please don't say anything from the manga, even if you say spoiler beforehand. No, it's fine. It's fine. that was pretty quick. I had to adjust to. Arcane or Attack on Titan, which is better world building? I think given I've only seen one season of Arcane, it just has much less content, so I'd say Attack on Titan. But yeah, yeah, good thing you didn't read it. Anyway, and then we get Grisha getting the key to the basement, Eren looking at him, and him staring at Eren here. And the idea here, well, it's just a continual idea of him getting these glimpses. Again, not a continual stream of these images, but more integrative images of it. Attack on Titan is my favorite world-building period, not having read A Song of Ice and Fire yet. I think A Song of Ice and Fire is slightly a bit better, in my opinion, but yeah, both are peak. This episode was so good, it absolutely was. So Eren is activating the Attack Titan's powers here. I think he might have been playing around with it, because earlier on he first realized it. He might have been, like, this is a lot of subtext, I'm just kind of guessing, but he might have been starting to play around with it here. Because this is the next instance, right? And then, so I love this. Let me just, here. So there's a great, they basically redo this scene from season 1. There's a great tweet of it. I'm warming up to the memory sections a lot. I just think I need more face close-ups. Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think Arcane can be compared to Attack on Titan just because of its way, like Shadow just said, it's very early. No, I didn't skip it. Not yet, Joshua. It's coming up. Anyways, I love this because they redid this all. They redid this all in Mappa's, or I guess season 4's art style, just with Zeke and Eren in the background here. And I loved it. Particularly this scene of here with Carla punching Eren. That kind of got some emotions out of me. Combined with the music, that kind of got to me. So I really love how they did this parallel here. Sounds like you love the first half. I mean, as an adaptation, it wasn't the strongest, but the content is so good that an adequate adaptation, which it was, is enough to make me very emotional. Yeah, he first realized Grisha can interact with them when they saw Zeke, yeah. And the next few memories after, Eren starts trying to show himself to Grisha by looking straight at him. Yeah, okay, yeah, nice. I didn't exactly clock that before, but it's good that we're discussing this because the more you know. Like, I didn't realize he was actually fumbling around with the power here. But that's cool, yeah. Punching. Did I say punching? I meant pinching. I meant pinching, my bad. I read somewhere that Wick gave all the background assets to Mappa. Oh! Wouldn't be surprised. It's very similar, just the character models, I think, and the lighting is different. Yeah, just all of this. We just went through it in there. And then here, I forget exactly what Eren said for this scene. Oh, this is when they're both, this is an interesting moment here because Grisha, I think, let me just double check. I need to double check the exact lines that were said here. Because they're talking about how Eren wants to become a scout. And then, oh yeah, okay, so Grisha asks Eren, why do you want to become a scout, right? Like, why do you want to do this? And Eren says, hold on, let me change the song here. Okay, so Grisha asks Eren here, why do you want to become a scout? Why do you want to go out there? And Eren says, in the subtitles, I want to know what the outside world is like. I don't want to live my entire life in ignorance inside the walls. Again, this core facet of Eren that's been there from the beginning that Eren described to Zeke. In response to that, we have these looks from Grisha and Eren. Both a little bit similar, a little bit surprised. It would have been funny if you didn't change. Yeah. So it's an interesting look from Eren. I don't know exactly how to interpret it. Perhaps that, are you guys seeing him, like, a slight surprise in his face, or am I just kind of seeing that myself? Grisha's kind of just shocked by his pure, I guess, drive for this sort of thing. I think Grisha's is fairly self-explanatory, but Eren's look here is interesting. I think I might have an idea. What do you think? Because it's sort of a confirmation in that sense. Maybe he might not have realized this, that he said these sorts of things earlier on, of what he's been saying to Zeke this whole time. And just further emphasis of this idea that he's not completely confident in. It's a mix of surprised and reignited determination. Yeah, perhaps. Seeing himself talking about these things as a kid would no doubt sort of ready him up for what to do. Like he forgot he said those words somehow. Validate the point he's making the whole episode, so it probably resonated. Yeah, that's essentially what I was trying to get at, is that it's like he's trying to convince Zeke, trying to convince himself at the same time, but having it in front of him like this is like, Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, this is a validation of some of the things he's been saying. It's a complex little moment, I think. Grisha's a bit shocked and maybe happy Eren wants to go outside is similar to how Grisha felt as a kid, and proving Eren is a suitable person in inheriting the Attack Titan. Yeah. Wait. Yeah, so that's the Grisha point of view. Similar to the page where Zeke asks Eren, why do you refuse to end this conflict? Or in Trost, Armin asks, even though you might die a horrible death like my parents, why did you ever want to see the outside world? Whenever Eren is asked why, he does the same things he feels, or he does or feels the things he does. Oh, he gets a little shocked and stunned. Oh. When Eren is asked why, he does the things he does or feels the thing he feels and gets a little shocked and stunned. Oh, okay. I see what you mean. That's interesting. Sometimes you have to face down yourself just to hear what a real one has to say. Especially in the manga, the expression before Eren's very first "I was born into the world" shows his internal confusion at the question, which can be missed in the anime. That's interesting. It's a cool take. Okay. Let's see what he looks like in the manga for that one. Oh, you know what? Oh, yeah. So here it is in the manga. Right there. So that's a bit of a different complexion for Eren than in the anime. Grisha's is sort of a slight bit of like horrified shock, just a slight bit. And Eren's actually it's similar enough, I suppose. It's sort of same complexion. Grisha just asked his child self why as well. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. That's a good catch. Is Nightbot a separate... Yeah, Jotaro, it's a bot, like I said before. Yeah, and then there's the sort of close-up of the panel I just kind of showed in the manga. I love how Grisha stabs his right hand, almost like it's him hurting himself because it's the same... It's the same hand he used to hold Faye's hand. Oh, wow. When they went outside the walls, I see this as him never forgiving himself for what happened. That is a twisted interpretation of that, but I kind of love it. It's the same hand? I didn't even notice. I didn't notice if it was the same hand, but that is cool. If nobody takes up their work, all those people would have died in vain. Then cutting to Grisha's worried look was so good. Yep, because that is his task, right? Yeah, that's his task, exactly. It's been shown, the task that he is feeling increasingly hesitant about is being shown to him in front of his face. Grisha's definitely shocked that his child is dead set on the things he would have wanted Zeke to say when he was indoctrinating him. Oh yeah, that is such a cool parallel too, and again, very dark. Oh goddamn! So he had purposely not been doing that, and it ended up that way anyway for his kid. That is twisted. Exact same expression as "I am me and I always have been." I can get some screenshots and send you on Discord that particular expression because one of them is a spoiler too, but you'll know that. Yeah, sure, Critty, sure. Yeah, that point about Grisha's hand is more evident in the manga page. Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, that is cool. The anime emphasizes it even more since they give another close-up of young Grisha's hand after Faye's death, along with one of him holding her hand. Yeah, they do flash to that. Again, that sort of integrative, quick montage in situations of distress I was talking about. And then we have the moment, right? His younger, idealistic, bright-eyed son and his older, menacing, twisted as fuck son. Sorry for cursing. Okay, I see, Zayden. Family show. But, yeah, and again, like I said before, this is, again, him looking at himself through Eren's perspective, not him seeing Eren, but nonetheless, he knows what's going on here, fully, completely. And he can feel that overwhelming, menacing aura, that presence, that threat, and the intent of Eren's presence there. Just look at the look on his eyes. I think they really sold the panic quite well. And Eren, just deadly calm, right? He never faced that way in episode 1, right? It's been a long time since I watched the episode 1 of the anime, so I don't know exactly, but I think he did. In the manga, he definitely did. Yeah, he's looking into the distance, and now we know it's because he was looking at Eren, who was obviously not visible in this context, in the original context. Yeah, Airmag, we explained the mechanics of how Grisha is able to see these things earlier in the VOD, so you might want to go back to that for a fuller explanation, but essentially, he has not ever physically seen Eren. Because of the Attack Titan's power, he is seeing things through his eyes. In the anime, we only see the key. Oh, okay, we don't see his eyes. Okay. So in the manga, we see it, and he's looking into the distance, but now we know it's Eren. In the anime, it's just the key. Okay, yeah. Nice. And then he walks away, and we know the context of everything he was feeling. This, when I read this in the manga, this is just, holy shit, it hits you like a ton of bricks, knowing what was going through his mind this entire time now. Nice eye shot, and one of my favorite shots in the entire episode, this one. So foreboding and ominous, very stark, blood red background, well, not blood red, but close enough to blood red background. Love this shot. This might be the thumbnail for the reaction. Look in Discord. Yeah, I got chills too. Okay, I see, Critty. Oh, that is so cool. Oh my goodness. I'm not going to spoil anything. What Critty just sent me a great parallel for something later on in the series. Oh, this story. So good. It's so good. Eren's so good. Okay, sorry. I got the chills too. Absolutely amazing. Grisha might be the most tragic character in Attack on Titan, for real. That's saying something, too. There is a ton of tragic characters. Do we know when Grisha received the future memories of this terrible future? He received them, I think, when everything was going down in the hideout. Could be wrong, but he mentions them afterwards to Zeke, after that situation, so that's what I always assumed. Kino, peak fiction, oh boy. At this point in time, Reiner and Bertolt just broke the wall. More or less? I'm pretty sure. And then we have Frida. By the way, they made Frida so beautiful. They illustrated her so well. The same day, same time frame, yeah. Frida was so gorgeous. I love how they illustrated her. But anyway, this is also very similar to the scene in original season 4, part 1 Attack on Titan trailer, where with Faye's dead body shown afterwards. Oh, yeah, you're right. Similar use of color. She does look like Eren. Then we have Grisha begging them. And then we have this hesitation. And then closes her eyes, overtaken by the vow to renounce war. Which manifests as those shackles in the past dimension, but yeah. You guys are mean. She was pretty. Levi's up there in terms of oh yeah, for sure. You can argue for quite a few. In the manga, it's so hard to tell her and Eren apart in this chapter. The only indication between them is that Frida's ears are shown through her hair. Frida was gorgeous. But yeah, so here she's overtaken by the vow to renounce war. And then here, this is where Eren starts losing his shit, because as she starts saying, nope, this is our time has come, we're paying for the sins of our ancestors, etc., we must just sit here, and if our end means war completely going away and everything, then that is our fate. We must accept it. We must just sit here and become extinct. Diametric, total contrast to everything Eren stands for and lives for. And so Grisha as well, so he's panicking, but for sort of divergent reasons, a lot of them having to do with his loved ones and family, for his home. But Zeke looks on and he goes, me and this woman would have gotten along. Hey, Eren? And then he sees him, and, oh no! Do I not have the shot? I somehow forgot the shot. Oh no. Oh, I forgot. How do I not have this one? Hold on a second. I'll find it. I got it. Here we go. I missed the... Yeah, I don't know how I didn't take that one. It was like, I assumed I had, but I didn't. But yeah, here it is. That stare would burn the world to ashes, right? He is raging. He is fuming. Everything she is saying goes against every fiber of his being, his reason for existing, everything. And Zeke is shocked here, right? He's completely shocked that Eren is so, like, raging so hard here. And it's very... we know all this, but Zeke is a bit taken aback, right? And it's first... the precursor to that is just seeing him with his eyes shadowed over. Yeah, goosebumps for me too. Sound design was great too. And what I love here is Grisha saying... all this stuff's happening. People are gonna die. These people didn't do any sins. It's their ancestors. They're innocent. You're just gonna let that happen and all this stuff. And he's pointing behind him, but in this moment, he's literally pointing to Eren, blurred in the background. Holy shit! Pointing to what is essentially going to be the source of why he follows through with all of this in the first place. I love this shot. It's so good. God, I love Eren so much. The whole section was incredible. It was so good. This is where I started going like, okay, yeah, they are knocking this part out of the park. Eren isn't directly mad at Frida, but more so King Fritz. Oh yeah, I wasn't trying to insinuate he was mad at Frida. He was mad at the words she was saying because of how in such total contrast they are to everything he stands for. DMs again. Also thinking about the trauma he was experiencing this day while she was renouncing war. Yeah, the context of where he was and where his like what happened to his mother and everything, his home. It is just so he can't stand this in this moment. Why were you able to do that? Okay. Oh my goodness, that imagery in expression is constantly repeated, huh? Good God, that is so good. Thanks, Freddy. Those are awesome. I will say when they panned to Eren's face when he was angry after Grisha looked behind him in his direction, I was hoping for a wider shot to see his whole face. Not poorly done, but you were wishing to something similar to the manga. I actually loved it. I thought that was done really well. And they continue. Look, she looks beautiful. What do you guys mean? You guys were slandering Frida. She looks so good. I love this. We see Zeke and just skulking in the corner. One of the coolest things about this scene is that both Grisha and Frida, two people who really don't want to fight each other, are being pushed into it by two outside influences. For Frida, it's King Fritz, and Grisha, it's Eren. Yeah, and you see it more when the vow to renounce war gets taken from her, like sort of dissipates, and the purple eyes go away, where she's very hesitant and sort of torn at looking at Grisha. But we'll get into that in a second. Eren Angie, very, very much so. Nothing wrong with large foreheads. I don't know what you guys are talking about. And yeah, this is what who was saying it? Mandem was talking about. I really like this. I thought this was very effective, and the camera's kind of... The camera's kind of like, I don't know, vibrating. There's a bit of a blur effect. The screenshot doesn't do it justice. And the sound design at the same time, it's like a boiling tension, ambient. I love this. I thought they did this really well. Frida's family also yelling at her to kill that man. Yeah, she looks hesitant. Yep, exactly. Yeah. Poor Frida, you guys are just slandering too much. I'll defend Frida till the end. That shot before is great. He says you should never blame people for their ancestors' sins. He points to Eren as if saying, you're leaving these problems to the younger generation. You're creating this devil. Ooh, very interesting, Mega Turtles. How Eren is kind of hidden in the corner, like a jump scare when you see how angry he is in the back, yeah. The sound of water boiling. Why did Eren take a few steps to be in front of Grisha? Is there a reason for that? Or is it just random? Well, because he realized he was clocking that he had to eventually force his hand, right? He had to be in front of him for that. Eren and Fritz parallels go deep, opposites but the same, yeah. The visual image, them being similar visually is not a coincidence. Again, beautiful. And then, so yeah, Zeke is slowly starting to realize what's going on here. Okay, Jotaro, that's enough. That's enough. You've done this consistently. One more time, and that's enough. I'm telling you, no spoilers at all. Like, one more and it's a ban, Jotaro. You can't talk about spoilers at all. Okay, sorry, where was I? Okay, sorry, I kind of lost track. Okay, and then Eren starts moving in front of him. So in this situation, I don't think I got the shots here, but Zeke is looking over at Eren as all this is happening, and Eren's eyes are shadowed over, particularly here. You can't see his eyes. You see the back of his head in one shot when he's talking to Eren, and you specifically don't see his eyes. And what I think is going on here is he's pretty much entirely clocking what he is going to specifically have to do here. It's the gears are turning in his head here, and like, okay, this is what I got to do, and he's taking up the mantle essentially by positioning himself here, stepping in front of Grisha, for whenever it becomes necessary. I don't think it surprises him at all that Grisha hesitates, and he realizes, yeah, Eren manipulating Jotaro. Hold on, let me just switch this. Okay. So yeah, and then through this whole time, Grisha's saying, you know, this opposition you have to what I'm saying, it's essentially going to force my hand. I'm going to have to do it. Everything we've been doing has been leading up to this moment. That's what he's saying in this scene here. Like, this is it. This is what I've been waiting for, gearing up for my entire life. This is the moment. This is the apex. And he's saying, I got to do it. And he's talking to himself, a parallel with Eren here, because he's saying, you got to do this. Fight, right? This is what you got to do. This is to carry on the torch, for everything we've been doing since the beginning, for my restorationist self. And this is what he's saying to him in this. This is what he's saying to himself, basically, in this moment. You guys are your stupid self-righteousness of the first king. We got to I need to directly oppose this. And he's saying, I got to do this. But what's key is the hesitation in his eyes here. There's a parallel with Eren and what he says there, and how he's trying to get himself up to do it, up to the task of doing it. But he is not ready. He does not have the conviction that Eren does, and a very different mentality, again, because of this second lease on life. Hey, Datboy Chuckles, thanks for stopping by. I made this comment on Discord earlier when Andres asked, why did Eren walk in front of Grisha? And I think he is inspecting the scene and getting a closer look at the Rice family. If you look at the manga, he steps ahead of Grisha is a close-up of Frida and the family in the panel. After, that is Zeke looking at him with a puzzled expression. I never really thought about that much. I just thought he was gearing up for what he had to do. But yeah, inspecting the scene, yeah, that makes sense, yeah. I never really thought much about that, but yeah. So why would Eren want to get a closer look on them? Maybe to see the faces and remember clearly these people he's about to sacrifice. Yeah, because I think, like I said, he knew what he had to do at this point. So he's letting himself feel the weight of what he's about to do. That is heavy. That is a lot. The fact that Zeke is lost throughout the scene is gold. Yeah, that is, good God. The reminder to Grisha about his sister from Eren was so cold. Really went far to light that drive of hatred within him to that extent, yep. So, parallels between Eren and Grisha, but they diverge here. Like how this scene is layered a lot. Zeke is the audience surrogate here, yep. Protagonist-antagonist dynamic switched, the fluidity, the dynamism. Zeke's Pikachu face. Approaching the crescendo, we sure are. Again, the vow is not left. This visual also represents time. How so? I always took Eren's anger here in the beginning, not only towards Frida, but also Grisha, which is made obvious in the next scene, but I think it was there since the beginning. Because he can kind of tell what's going to happen, I think he does get like upset early because he knows what's going on. Yeah, which visual were you talking about, Freaks? Frida's eye or this one? I'm not sure. So what is exactly meant by vow to renounce war? The vow to renounce war is essentially the brainwashing or the artificial ideals implanted into the royal family, which stops them from doing any violence or acting out and just being completely pacifist to the point of self-destruction that the king passed down when he migrated within the walls. That's what it's called. How beautiful this episode where this is all happening between a father and his two sons. Yep. And then here, he's about to do it. Some nice hectic blur effects, as notably we see the faces of the kids he is seemingly about to kill. And then looks a bit deeper. And Frida's about to bite, but he can't do it. All the sounds completely dissipate. It goes to silence, and we hear the clatter of the knife on the ground. And Frida's about to bite. He's about to do it, but he cannot do it. I'm a doctor. I save lives. I save people. I can't kill children. This is who he is now. This is Grisha. He knows what he has to do. He knows the reasons and the rationale behind doing it. He knows he's been given this from the beginning. But he can't. It just goes against every fiber of his being and who he is at this point in time. This is not restorationist Grisha. The Dr. Grisha has taken prominence now. I'm saying these sorts of things to show the distinction between different periods of his life, but I'm not saying they're separate entities or anything, separate personas or anything. No, but this has taken prominence in Grisha's psyche more than anything. This is who he is, and he can't go against that. He just can't. Yeah. Yeah, so Critty explained it. What I explained the vow to renounce war in a more articulate way, if you wanna see that, Mandem. There's also the positioning based on how much they knew as Grisha reveals the Attack Titan's ability. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, Eren's in front. Who knows the most? Grisha's in the middle, who only knows what Eren's shown him, and Zeke's in the back. That's a cool interpretation. Yeah, that's cool. Nice catch. I like that. You can't really capture it in a screenshot, but when Grisha eyes pan towards Eren was amazing. I actually did get that, I'm pretty sure. We'll see in a second. Also, he's a dad, yeah. All these things add up to make it so that he just can't do this. Yeah. And Zeke is going, this can't be. Like what I was talking about earlier. The past can't change. Like, whoa, what is this? This isn't how it plays out, right? And then it pans up. Oh wait. Oh, I guess I didn't get the shot. Hold on. Let me just double check. Oh, you're right. It looks like I didn't get it when he looks to the side. I thought I did. But yeah, I think you're right. But yeah, that is a great moment. Yeah. Anyways, that imagery of time, yeah, it's really good. The first close-up, yeah, okay. So yeah, he looked to the side and then there was that. I just missed the look of Grish's eyes going to the side. You're right. But then we see here, this is where it happens. We pan up and we slowly see this menacing, dark figure, eyes clouded over again. Yeah, Grish's past Zeke in the back and Grish's future Eren in front. Yeah, okay, I see. Yep. Cool. That's a cool catch, freaks. And then Frida, notably, the vow is not a factor here. She's not clouded over here. She is completely cognizant of everything that's going on. And I think this characterizes Frida a bit because, you know, Rod is going ham saying you gotta kill him. Her family's saying you gotta kill him. But right in front of her is someone who has said, I cannot do this. I will not do this. No matter what it means I'm giving up, I can't do this. And she can't just take down someone, no matter what the potential is, who is able to do that. So it's such a dilemma here. She's basically frozen. She's caught in between two. Rod Rice, aka Usain Bolt. Yeah, to an extent. Grish's eyes closing in on this scene feels like he's almost ready for his own death. He's succumbed to the fact that he can't do this deed. Yeah, I think he had accepted in this moment that that might very well happen to him. But he's willing to do it, to not go against everything he stands for at this point in time. It's his duty to carry this forward, but in the same time, it betrays who he's become. Even though he was entrusted with it, right? I like the idea that Frida, or maybe Fritz, is so distraught at the idea of killing this man who threatens their paradise just because the ideology of pacifism is so strong. Yeah, what a contradiction, or is that even a contradiction? It's a bizarre little way to think about that, but it is very interesting. You thought I was talking about Pixis? That's funny. Okay. We know Frida is a kind person with what we know about Historia, yeah. So it's sad to see people like her and Udi get submitted to Fritz as well, yeah. Alright, Xenon. Thanks for stopping by. Sounds good. Yeah, definitely. So we do know she's kind. We had her characterized prior to that with Historia's flashbacks. And again, we see sort of that consistently followed through here. And then, oh boy. Let me find the manga passage. Don't wanna butcher this. What are you doing? Stand, father. Did you forget why you came here? Isn't it to get revenge for your little sister who was eaten by dogs, as Zeke looks on, horrified? For your fellow restorationists, for Dinah, for Kruger. You advance on to avenge them, even if you die, even after you die. The shot of the eye here, holy shit. And then all these interlacing scenes, are sort of the thing I was mentioning earlier, where again times of distress or high drama. These all play very quickly. There's a zoom in on Eren's mouth as well, a zoom in on Zeke's or Grish's eye. These flashbacks to Kruger. It hypes up the anxiety really well. The peak that peak resides on, the goat. But in the manga, the Founder's Eye isn't a clearly noticeable thing like it is in the anime. Oh, true. Interesting. Yeah, okay, I see. So they portray that differently in the anime, or at least more visually vibrant. Okay, and then yeah, so this is the moment, and he's manipulated into it. An encapsulation of everything that Eren's saying here. You started this story, didn't you? And I think this is really effective. There's one that happens in a second that I think is less effective, but this is just it's very exaggerated proportions, or just dimensions of the face. And, oh yeah, is that the right hand? Yep. You guys had said this already, but it's nice to see it. But yeah, this is very good at showing his pure misery, like just how much pain he's going through and having to do this, but he does do it. And this scene I thought was a bit awkward. Like, I thought it was a bit weird because of the mouth, I think. This looks fine. But as it pans out, there's something weird with the mouth. Let's see if I have a screenshot of it. I think I have it somewhere. Does the mouth not look a little off? Like, something about the mouth, I don't know. If you just cut off at the nose... If you just cut off at the nose, it looks awesome. But I wish that mouth wasn't there. But anyway. It just looks odd to me. Anyway, I'm glad you guys like it. I thought the mouth looked a little odd. Here. And then Grisha does it. And then what I love here is the sounds and the music are all amping up to this. Again, or sorry, I don't even think there's music. I just think it's sound design. He stabs it, and then there's a soft fade to nothingness as Historia's hand comes in. Eren kisses it. And then we get all of this soft fade out, and then fade back in to the destruction he's caused. The music really emphasizes it here. It is a horrifying track, but filled with pathos as well. Excuse me. And as it ramps up to the next scene with Grisha and Zeke, there's a very clear purpose for it. But one of my favorite shots in the episode are this whole time we see Eren so menacing, so authoritative and threatening and monstrous. Okay. Which ones, Critty? Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, I'll do that. So Critty sent me a very interesting parallel. One second. So let me just go back a little bit to this. And so here, this is a parallel to Season 1, episode whatever, during one of the early arcs. And here we have Mikasa saying, the one who killed your squad mates, it was her, talking about Annie. So right at the end of the female Titan arc, or whatever it's called. You don't like Eren's mouth because it got... You don't like Eren's mouth because it got free to kill, defending her to the end. What a trooper. Don't worry, Critty. I think I got my train of thought down pat. So we have this, Mikasa telling Eren, the one who killed your squad mates, it was her. Do you still think we're wrong? And then Eren's trying, but he can't bring himself to do it, to fight Annie. And then we have here, right here. Don't tell me that this late in the game, you still might just be imagining that Annie is the female Titan. Think about what you just saw. Direct parallel, right? Like, that's pretty conclusive. Yeah, I love that. So very cool. And again, Mikasa and Eren in those scenes have very similar monstrous looks, very similar roles in trying to convince the other to do what needs to be done. Really interesting. How's it going, Holy Potato? And then I talked about all this. It's a very gentle approach. And then this is one of my favorite scenes in the entire episode because, like I said, Eren's been very menacing, very threatening, very monstrous. His eyes full of darkness and just cutthroat brutality. But then what happens when he looks at the scene of what he's done, of what he's essentially convinced Grisha to do or manipulated him to do? That's the look in his eyes. This one, they nailed the expression. And it again shows you that duality. He has the conviction to do what in his eyes needs to be done, but he is not at all happy about having to do these things. And look at the beautiful expression here. And Zeke's still baffled. Yep. Audience insert to the end. And right after that is when Mikasa says, referring back to the Mikasa scene, the world is a cruel place. So you can imagine Eren is matching her thoughts back then. Yep. Cruel but beautiful. And to fight for that beauty, you gotta do what you gotta do. I love this moment because it clearly portrays Aaron's mentality. If you really just pay attention to the facial, it portrays, there are lots of nuances to Aaron, of course, but it portrays a simplification, an accurate simplification of Aaron's mentality really well. People who think that Aaron is completely cold and unfeeling about these sorts of things and completely savage with no warmth or emotions towards this at all, that's not true. It never has been. And it's been shown consistently throughout. This is another example of it. Great illustration here. Manga readers versus anime onlys. Sika's like, why am I here? This is like the direct surprise Pikachu face. But yeah, love this moment. And then this, one of the highlights of the episode, maybe the highlight of the episode, in terms of adaptation quality, I think. Grisha just completely distraught, disheveled. It's hard to articulate what exactly has become of Grisha in this moment. He's defined himself by, at this time, like he literally says, I am a doctor, I am someone who saves people, I can't do these things. If I were to do these things, I would cease being who I am, and he just can't do it. It goes against who he is. Voice acting, again, have to say, phenomenal. Close-ups of the eye, and there's these, it's hard, the screenshots don't capture it well, but very visceral, blurred, very fluid shots as he's going back and forth and screaming in misery and pain at what he just did. Essentially, in this moment, he is a shell of a man. He has lost all semblance of who he is because of what he just did to enact this destruction. Yeah, it's super well done. Are you happy now? He screams at wherever the hell Aaron is. And he has been reduced to a shell of a man. All that's basically got him going forward is the hopes that Carla is alive, which Aaron cruelly kept from him to manipulate him into going forward. He's done. Like, he is a fractured shell of a man at this point, completely distraught, just so hurt and pained by everything he's had to do. It was so beautifully presented, and I was genuinely disturbed watching this. It is so, again, visceral. I keep using that word, but good God, was it presented well. Highlight of the series, let alone the episode, yeah. My eyes are blessed to have witnessed the scene. My ears are blessed to have witnessed the voice acting. It is so, yeah, the voice acting just accentuates everything, and then the visuals were to match. Like, this doesn't get it across well, but he's stumbling all over the place. The animation is very fluid and frenetic, and he's stumbling around. There are lots of uneven and inconsistent movements that really get across that human nuance as he feels this immense pain. Another blur, another integrated shot. Sounds good, Dawn Enjoyer. Okay, you're here now. Okay. Yeah, we are in the peak section. It is otherworldly. It's insane. And then he just, after all of this, the thing that hits the hardest for me is that he's this hollow shell of a man at this point. He's completely destroyed. His mentality is frayed. Why? All that's keeping him alive is his care for Carla and the dregs of this duty, right? And then then his son has done this to him. The son that all he's ever done is loved, having learned from his mistakes. How twisted is that? That is insanity. So disconnected, exactly, yep. When he screams Aaron's name a couple of times, I think they were really making Aaron's character look very dark, yeah. It's a huge dark impression of Aaron. Yeah, I agree, Drunk Eldian. But then it all sort of culminates in this moment where he just goes, like he just sits quietly and sort of finally takes in what he's done. The calm after this storm here is probably the most painful part as he genuinely comes to realize it. I can't imagine what he was feeling at this moment. It's beyond words. Oh, well, there's the VOD shadow, if you're really that interested, but glad you're back with us. We're just getting to right at the end. It's his son doing this to him, and it's all one-sided. He has no say being strung along. He can't even see Aaron. He's just screaming out, like, wherever the hell you are you happy now? I did it. He carried forward what Kruger wanted him to do. What I find, no, I talked about this earlier. Forget it. The irony of Kruger's words to him to love people within the walls, but I mentioned that earlier. I won't dwell on it again. But yeah, again, Grisha has been a terrible, awful father who has done heinous things to his kid, something that no parent should ever do to their kid. He has done horrible things, but the core of that is based in the core of what so many characters feel and why they do these actions, and it is sympathetic, or understandable at least. The want for something that is beyond your station but really shouldn't be in a humane world, because this is a cruel world. All he wanted to do was see the airship. All Eren wants to do is properly live beyond the walls. All Armin wants to do is explore the world and see these wonders. All Erwin wants is to realize his father's dream. All his father wanted was to know the truth of the world. These secrets that are kept, these confines that are placed upon people are inhumane. And the core of a lot of our characters' desire to do the things they do is just wanting to grasp something that should not be out of their grasp. And that's the core of Grisha's motivations as well. And so I find him very understandable, and in this moment, very sympathetic. Nailed home by the voice acting. Sorry, I missed a bunch of messages. You could also potentially say that Grisha made Eren eat him because he was so depressed, he became suicidal in this moment. Yeah, like that was the dregs of his duty, so I mean, I think that's a valid interpretation too. He learned that Carla died. A chatter asked at the start of the stream asked why Grisha passed on his powers to Eren despite telling Zeke to stop him, and that's because if Grisha doesn't pass on the Attack Titan and Founder Titan to Eren, then all of humanity inside the walls will be eaten by Titans once the warriors break the walls, which is why he pleaded with Frieden to stop in the cave. Yeah, so even if he wants to stop Eren's plan, in the future he still can't allow all of humanity within the walls to die, which is why he killed the Rice to begin with, because they wanted to let the people inside the walls die without doing anything to stop it. Yeah, so he still has basis, and he still thinks that doing that is, like, there is a great reasoning to like, justification for doing that in the first place. It's just the actual literal act of doing it is something that he wasn't able to initially go through with. But yeah, so he keeps passing it on. He keeps passing on this duty because he doesn't disagree with the sentiment of what he was saying in the first place at all. He needs to do it to carry on this job and to benefit the people within the walls and go, like, keep making these steps towards stopping this cycle. And his original ideals, which he doesn't disagree with anymore, it was just overpowered by his desire to not do this harm. So yeah. Ironic tragedy in the fact that Grisha had genuinely changed and improved, and yet his own son was what pushed him over the edge. And Zeke had no idea. Grisha never realized how bad of a father Zeke just wanted to have his father's love. Absolutely. Grisha had never realized how bad of a father he had been to Zeke. As far as he was concerned, he was doing good, and Zeke was on board with it in his eyes. Then the second Zeke betrayed him, he realized how badly he messed up and how terrible a father he had been. I don't believe Grisha is a bad person at heart. Me neither. No chance. He just got overtaken by, again, this very human and understandable core motivation that shouldn't have been out of his grasp in the first place. I've been talking quite a lot. A mix of his despair and realizing that he needs Eren to have the Titan. It's the duality of this that's super interesting. Yeah, the motivations are not mutually exclusive. He holds them close to his heart, and they just contradict each other, so he had to make one choice. Learning that Carla died was the straw that broke the camel's back. He was already barely hanging in there, yeah. It made him lose it entirely. Eren says, you've become crazy after Mom died, yeah. Grisha knows that the walls will be destroyed and that his 13-year term is about to run out. Yeah, the term's about to run out too, I didn't mention that. So it's his last chance to fulfill his mission and take the Founding Titan. But he doesn't know that the walls are destroyed at the same day he does this, and that Carla will already be dead when he returns. Oh yeah, for the earlier message, yeah. Hopefully that clears up that confusion. Okay. In the manga, there's a panel showing the panic from the walls being destroyed. Yeah, the actual the exact timeline is a bit, I'm a bit rusty with that, but it's generally the same time frame, explaining the urgency. Anyway, Back to this scene. The loneliness of this shot, by the way. The expanse in front of him. Again, that calm after the storm, where you realize and reflect on what you've actually done. Like Drunk Eldian said earlier, I think seeing Zeke is what helped him to maintain some semblance of himself here. Grisha ironically realizes the walls have been destroyed on the way there when he gets off the boat. It's not shown in the anime. Besides his term almost being up, I think hearing Kid Aaron's words is what convinced him today to pass his power. Subscribe to the interpretation that it's when Grisha returns and finds out Carla's dead that it's the final nail in his decision to pass his power to Aaron then and there. Yeah, like sunk cost fallacy, right? Almost, kind of. I agree with that, though. I'm not like, it's the sort of thing, like, at this point, what else is there, right? Because he knows that Aaron knew that Aaron intentionally didn't let him know. Oh, okay. Yeah, that too. Yeah, true. Didn't let him know to lead him down that path, yeah. Yeah, okay, yeah. I didn't think about that. Yeah, because Aaron knew, and that Aaron intentionally didn't let him know to lead him down that path. Oh, yeah. Oh, there's so many things that Grisha is clocking through different points after this scene, chronologically. Holy shit. Oh. Grisha's so good. I've been underrating Grisha, to be honest. Grisha's probably top 5. Oh, because if Carla was alive, he would have chosen living with his family over his mission. Yeah, as this new lease on life he had. And if he knew Carla would die, he would have never left. Right, yeah. Steam in the shot looks a bit like the paths when Zeke is being saved by Amir. No connection, but still nice. Oh, that's true, yeah. It's kind of similar. Again, just this... Man. Tears in his eyes, and then he knows Zeke is here. Aaron's behind him, which, off-screen. Something they changed here in the anime. Throughout this whole exchange between Grisha and Zeke, in the manga, you can see Aaron the entire time behind him. You can see him... So not the entire time, sorry. But before he hugs him... where is it? So before he hugs him, we have this. So Aaron's skulking in the background before he hugs him, before they get there. Right there. In the anime, they don't show that until right at the end, and instead portray that through music, which I'll get through in a second. But it's an interesting divergence, and I think it was fine. Those are tissues. I had nothing to bookmark, sorry. But yeah, so interesting. Aaron's there the whole time. Here, he completely says, as Zeke says, like, what's manifesting right in front of him? What he's been looking for his entire life. He's begging him. Also in this scene, he tells him to stop, that you have to stop Aaron. What he's seen will come to pass. So we see here that Grisha has seen some semblance of what Aaron saw when he kissed Astoria's hand, but he's been keeping some things from Grisha. He says, why didn't you show me the whole thing? Yeah, bystander, yeah. Keith asks, are you going to curse someone else now? And Grisha says, this child is not like you. I beg you stay out of it. Which is right about after this and finding out about Carla's death. Yep. This child is nothing like Keith. Absolutely. Okay, so... Yeah. So he talks about all that, and then eventually in this scene, he sees Zeke, well, he had seen him before, and finally just hugs him, gives him a hug. I should have loved you. I shouldn't have done any of the things I did. He apologizes for everything he ever did, and says, I love you. I love you, Zeke. I'm so sorry. And Zeke, defined by the bitterness he had towards him and what this made him, how this made him act and how this made him live his life in response in a lot of ways. Beautiful eyelashes. in the end is able to dismiss his hatred and accept this wholeheartedly. He's able to accept well, I don't know if he accepts the apology and forgives him, but he accepts the love because it is what he's been yearning for forever. But the thing is, in contrast, beautiful illustrations here. Finally calls him father. Yep. In contrast to the music I have playing here, so forget about that scene for a second. In contrast to the music I have playing here, this scene, the tone of this scene is not beautiful and majestic and fulfilling. Because it is fulfilling for Zeke on some level. This is what he's been waiting for his entire life, of course. But the tone is it's very emotional, but it isn't a song like this. What it is Too Little Too Late. It takes into account the context of this situation. Because it's not, I love you, Zeke, and now, you can progress in your life and we can be together forever. This is his father in what is essentially Zeke's past, saying these sorts of things, and Zeke cannot grasp these things. They are not tangible. It's far too little too late. He did not show him these things when he raised him. So while Zeke gets this fulfillment, there's this haunting dark undercurrent here of the context of this situation in conjunction with the emotional context of Zeke's mentality. The complexion of the tone here is not deeply beautiful and wondrous and majestic and super emotional in that way. There's also a horrific undertone here. Is it copyright if you bring up the scene? No, it has not played in the anime yet. And now let's play a more appropriate thing. Because the music playing here, there's quite a, like I said, a haunting tone to it. It really captures that this is fulfilling on some way, but like I said, there are lots of dark undertones attached to it, and it is just too late. The horrific part is the tragedy of Grish's entire life and his collective mistakes, yeah. And how that resulted in where Zeke is right now. And I think it would have felt very out of place if they suddenly tried to fit in a soft, emotional soundtrack given the context. Absolutely. And that's what I love, because that's a trap they could have easily fell into if they got too swept up in this reunion, in this confession or prostration on Grish's part. But they didn't do that. They realized that there are tons of horrific undertones, dark undertones to this. And I think also through this music, it also, you can sense Aaron's presence through the horrific nature of this music. Rewatch the scene after the stream is done, and you'll feel there's this dark presence communicated through the music, communicated through audio direction, and you can feel it. And what I love is the song swells, and then when Zeke tears up here, there's a lull. It gets quieter, and then it swells again, and there's that undertone, and you can feel Aaron's presence through the music. And that is the replacement for having not seen him prior to the hug. But then when you see him here, as Grish is saying, you gotta stop Aaron, it is horrifying. It is absolutely horrifying. Why did Aaron allow Zeke and Grisha to have this moment? Is it because of his partial regret over causing the previous scene to happen? Does he really care about Zeke even a little bit? It's so interesting to think about. Yeah, I don't think there's any clear answer, but lots of things to debate about that. There was really no downside to letting them have it, and I think it's also an indication of where his mind may have been, like you said. There are tons of different ways you can approach that, different angles. That is a lot to think about. I'm expecting the friendship scene to... Oh, okay, I see, Dragonite. Rewatched 3 times and I got goosebumps. The song is so insane. Yeah, and like I said, it could have been so easy for them to get swept up and do what would be, in my opinion, incorrect music placement here, incorrect tonality of this scene. But they nailed it, because the song, like I said, has that emotionality for Zeke. You can feel his fulfillment there, again, through the voice acting and visuals too, but it is not portrayed as this romantic father-son beautiful reunion at all, and I love that. I have a thing or two I could say about that would lead into this whole spoiler discussion. Yeah, probably save for another time, I think, Critty. But, yeah, there is so much to grasp onto, and even just having talked for 2 hours, 45 minutes, I still think there are tons of things we didn't talk about, but a lot of it would delve into spoilers. Wait, it's the same soundtrack as the beginning of the trailer. Oh, is it? Interesting. A lot of people seem to think Eren is the one who cuts the memory off, but I believe it's Zeke who does it. He tries to immediately eject out of the memory once he sees Eren's terrifying expression and realizes he could possibly cause other catastrophes. Yeah, because, well, as we know, like we said, Eren cannot change the past. You can't change the past given their situation. But Zeke isn't thinking that logically in this moment. He's just terrified. So was your immediate reaction to that sort of thing in response to seeing Eren being so horrific and threatening? You back off, right? You run away. It's a very human reaction. Even if you don't, like, he didn't take the full logic of the context of how they're affecting time here. Because it wouldn't actually play out that way. But of course he's not thinking about that. It's just an immediate gut reaction. Get me out of here. To Eren's huge threat. So I think that's a very valid interpretation. When you talk for 20 minutes about when you talk about 20 minutes for 3 hours, yep. I don't know, Slayer, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did. I wouldn't be surprised. That seems like a natural place. And then, oh god, look at that. That was a big shock to the system. Can you explain the reason why Eren had that face when he kissed Historia's face? I assume you mean Historia's hand? Because he got a glimpse of everything that would come to pass. That's what that scene is essentially showing you there. We got that impression through how he acted after that, but it was mainly subtextually shown. This here is making clear that he has seen the things that have come to pass when he did that, when he kissed her. That's why he looks so horrified afterwards. He saw all sorts of things, some things that are not clear to us at this point in the story. And that's what caused him to change, knowing these sorts of things that would come to pass, how horrific it was, how disturbing it was, and why it immediately made him feel, again, that exhaustion. It's just one thing after another, right? That false horizon. I like the Shadow's interpretation, and I love that even at this point you can reinterpret and understand moments like that in a new light. Yeah, for sure. The scene where Zeke starts crying and then Eren reappearing and having that flash to his face in the moment where he touched Historia's hand implied that he was somewhat defined by that moment when he saw what that future was. No, yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree. I don't think you're pulling too much out of it at all. I think that was a defining moment, for sure. Zeke who controls the memory since Eren's the one who tells Zeke to move on to the next one. Eren has no control. I think that might be the case, yeah. It's like Eren intimidated Zeke into backing down from going through the memories, even though it was Zeke's idea in the first place. Yeah, like I said, the power dynamic here begins to shift, and then towards this point where Eren's got all of it, right? Even though Zeke technically still has full control, it's amazing. Yeah, good. That is authority, at least in this situation. Why does it show Eren's face right before they go back to the paths? Why does it show it? I think a lot of what we were just talking about, it potentially explains why Zeke wanted to pull them back into the past dimension. This stark reminder, right? This shock, this instinctual reaction. So many anime-onlys were confused when he got the future memories. Yeah, it isn't as clear, I think, in this episode. It can, and it's just a confusing thing to grasp everything for in general, right? So, the exact moment he really learned enough to change. He learned a ton, like it defined him, like I said. Is that him seeing the horrible thing he will do that Grisha talks about? Yeah, I think it's pretty much implied that he saw that at that moment as well. Okay. So luckily the explanation about Eren kissing Historia's hand should be at the start of next episode to clear up anime-only's confusion, hopefully. Have you seen the next episode preview? No, I tried not to. In my reactions, sometimes they play, but I tried my best not to. This time around, I did not see it. The music is a Mori's OST. This track in particular is called Trees. But yeah, I guess that's it, right? And then and then quick flash of Aaron's face when right after he kisses Historia's hand from another perspective, very zoomed in, central. And then they go back to paths, and then we end with this shot. That is a great illustration. Yeah, that is horror, right? He is terrified. The weight of everything he just saw in that moment. Yep. A bit off topic, but do you still think there'll be a movie after this season? There's gonna have to be something. I don't know if it's gonna be a movie or more of the anime. There's gonna have to be something. Not sure which it would be. But they're not gonna be able to adapt everything for sure. Pretty wild that an extremist nationalist like Grisha thought that what he saw was so horrible that he wanted Zeke to stop Eren. There are scales to this. Majestic, I'm back. Oh, right at the end, Luciano. I talked about the Mikasa scene you were mentioning, and I pretty much mirrored what you said. I think the cut was, again, like you said, a bit too drastic. They didn't dwell enough on it. But they captured the variability in expressions, even if I wish they zoomed in on a more intimate way on the last expression. But yeah. Best cliffhanger in the anime, in my opinion. Is a great cliffhanger. The first 2 episodes had kind of awkward cliffhangers, but this one was really good. Absolutely raw. Did you like this episode or the last one more? This one was amazing, and I have a soft spot for it as a manga reader as well. It's tough. It's tough for me to compare them right now with it so fresh. I think last episode was better adapted, but I think the content in this episode is slightly better, and it was well adapted for sure, for all the reasons I described. So my gut emotional reaction, maybe this one, but I'm not entirely sure. I'm gonna go live in a minute, so please talk for another 5. I'll talk for another 5, Critty. What are you playing, Critty? Well, if you're still here, I think it's been a minute. I mentioned it before, but the track that played here was on some Light of the Seven shit. Yep, I absolutely agree. I don't know if you caught, Shadow, but I was talking about the music and how the horrific undertones, the grand epic undertones were so good. And the remix of Zero SK, I don't even know if it was a remix, but I failed to mention it. Zero SK played earlier, absolutely perfect. Next episode's cliffhanger. Oh, I don't know. It is giving the source material lots of love. Yeah, I think last one was a better adaptation. Overall, it's tough. It's tough. He's playing Sekiro. Oh, okay, nice. Oh yeah, Mondays are Sekiro, right? I think this episode has higher peaks, but last episode was more consistently good from start to finish, though the second half of this episode makes it hard not to call it my favorite. Favorite of the whole series? Or just out of the 2? Him T-posing, no, I didn't get that one, but it's in between these 2 shots. I really think they nailed the tone in the anime with the music and general ambience. Yep, I agree. You hope you get some shit on Amir. We'll see. I mean, it would be disappointing right now if like you don't get anything about her. Okay, cool, Critty. I really think without the recaps and the stretch scenes, these 4 episodes could have been 3 episodes. I think that would have been pushing it a bit. They did pad things out in episode 2 in particular a lot, but I don't think this stuff could have gone into 3 episodes. I think that's a bit too much. Maybe 3.5. Maybe they could have cut out 10, 12 minutes. But I see what you mean. With the end of the stream, you can become affiliate. Yes, I can, but I have to do some forms, so it's not instant. But yeah, because this will be my 7th, and you need 7 out of 7 streams to become an affiliate, so that is cool. Thank you guys for tuning in, by the way. Without viewers and without chatters and followers, those are some requirements needed for it, so you guys definitely are to thank for this as well. At the very least this season, but it's a top 5 episode for me regardless. Content-wise, it's the best so far. Best dialogue, yeah. I agree. This would be definitely fighting for top 5 along with the previous one. It's been And I just don't want to say it's best right away, but it's definitely fighting for that first spot. They weren't disappointments at all, except for like minor things in the first half of this episode. Yeah, steady pace. Yeah, I'm really glad too, because they're dialogue heavy too. Yeah, sub button. We're getting a sub button soon. Crazy, right? We can do channel points too. Have you been playing Legends of Arceus? No, I did not get it. I might get it eventually, but I have not been playing it. Next episode seems to be the most prioritized of the season. Really? I thought 3 was very prioritized, but most of the season, really. I am looking forward to that. I think out of the 3, like, out of next week, well, I'm just taking your word for it. Next week, this one, and then the previous one, this one seems to be the least prioritized in terms of, I guess, general consistency of character models and all that sort of thing, and art. Just my impression of it. Which I think is understandable. But if next is the most prioritized so far, damn, they've been prioritizing a lot of things. I have not seen Ranking of Kings yet. Okay, I see. Do you have a full-time job or are you a student? I have multiple part-time jobs. YouTube is one, whether it be this or the reaction channel, with the Patreon support. And then another part-time job as well. Hopefully Twitch can start contributing as well soon, now as well, because I just said as well like 5 times. Hopefully Twitch can start contributing to that too soon, because after I become affiliate, I'll gain the ability to be able to get monetization, run ads, donations, subs, etc. So hopefully it can contribute as well. You can also, yeah, I know about the partnership. I don't know if I'll qualify. I just need to essentially do 12 streams within 30 days, which I will do if I just keep up this schedule, and I can apply as a YouTube personality or something like that. I don't know if they'll accept it, though. I heard that people can't really, like, people get rejected a lot first time around, so I'm not expecting to become partner. Affiliate's what I'm most excited for. So hopefully next stream we do, you guys will be able to do channel points and all sorts of things. Yeah. Film buff tomorrow. True. Best reactor. I feel intimidated with Aaron glaring into my soul at the screen. Here, let's do something more wholesome. In the last few minutes. I'm not American, I'm Canadian. Let's do Precious Boys, right? Precious Boys. Been following for 5 years now. Hope life is good for you. Thank you. Life is generally good. Cannot complain. Hope life is good for you as well. What province? I live in Ontario. I feel better. Precious Boys. I feel better too. Look at these beautiful souls. Well, not disregarding the sins on the part of one of those souls. You can understand why they had to sacrifice the first 2 episodes, because the last 2 were really good in terms of what and how much they adapted. Yeah, you can very much tell they were posturing, in some places a little artificially, to get to end it in that specific spot, so that, like I said, all hell could break loose after that. You should have kept it at Unhinged, Grisha. I don't know, I would have been a bit traumatized. Precious. I had to go through the entire episode, sorry. Will the anime somehow divert from the original work? No one knows right now, but I don't imagine it'll divert significantly. He made one little mistake, just one. What do you plan to watch or read next? I don't know. Just the stuff I'm doing right now. I don't see the end coming soon for any of that. Final Fantasy XIV I'm playing. Might start that on stream. I'm not sure. I'm in the middle of my Final Fantasy VII Remake analytical playthrough. I'll continue that Wednesday. That's been lots of fun. Maybe Arceus? Maybe Arceus? I don't know. I do want to do a blind playthrough of something on stream. Glad to hear it, Stickman. I do not plan to do a video on Omori because I don't know how to articulate my feelings on Omori that well. It speaks for itself to me. I wouldn't know where to start, if that makes sense. But I definitely have enough passion to, if I'm ever able to properly articulate. Any plans on vids for Arcane on the main channel? Sorry, Turtle Man, that's Actually, the info is going to come out today anyway. Yes, I will be doing at least one. And actually, where is that? We have this. So once people can start subbing, I have a sub goal for me doing a second Arcane video. So, we have one on the way for sure. I think it's going to be released this Friday. Friday or Saturday. And then another if I get my sub goal within 30 days. Do you have a schedule for YouTube video releases or Twitch streams? Twitch streams, yeah. There's a tab on my Twitch channel, Mintiaki. There's a tab on everyone's Twitch profiles where you can go to schedule and you can see everything. So the schedule's laid out there. I don't think the first two were lacking in quality either. I just think that the pacing was generally kind of, I don't know, it was a bit padded out, that's all. But the quality, like, I was a big fan of both episodes, as I've said in these discussions, in my reactions too. I think both were pretty great, and they accentuated the source material really well, I think. Very good quality, yeah. Very little dips, but great peaks, yeah. I'm interested to see how it holds up too. I really hope it does. I am enjoying the little detours. Hugs Online, how are you? Any update on your mom's favorite Attack on Titan characters? No, but next time I'll ask her, and next time ask me again, and I'll come back with it. I'm sure they've changed after these past few episodes. Yeah. Get that League audience. I don't imagine... I'm only anticipating, like, 10k views or less on the Arcane videos, because it's not really what people come to my channel for, but we'll see. You never know. Rourke's fan-made Attack on Titan game. Oh, I can't tell if that's sarcasm or not from the tone of the comment, but okay. I feel like Erin might get in her bad books if she watches this episode. Yeah, well, she did watch the episode. I watched it with her after I saw it. She was mind blown. My mom does watch the show. We watch it weekly every week. Last week, she was torn apart. This week, she's just like after the episode, she was like this, like an hour straight. After I explained some things, she's like, the people who come up with this story, how do they do it? I said, it's one guy. One guy wrote this. Oh my god. How? She's loving it. She's loving it. Won't Twitch ban you for showing Attack on Titan? I'm just showing screenshots. I'm not showing the episode, so they can't do that. Yeah, you never know. Yeah. So wholesome. She loves the show. She loves Haikyuu. She loves Kuroko no Basuke. She loves Fate Zero, Steins Gate. She is cute. All the time travel have me prepared for this episode. Yeah, there's a lot to take in. But I don't need to delete any VODs. I don't need to delete any VODs. Like, this is just screenshots. Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about other people. Okay. Yeah. That's what you mean. Okay, yeah. Does any character from Attack on Titan remind you of Alex DeLarge from Clockwork Orange? Oh, I don't know. That's kind of I have not thought about Clockwork Orange for a long time. I'd have to think about that one. Very base. She should make analytical videos too. You know what her analytical videos would consist of? It would be like, Connie, Jean, and Sasha deserve the world, and if anyone hurt them, then this story shouldn't see the light of day. But no, she loves Connie. She loves that trio, and she was heartbroken when you know what happened. She's only seen bits of Hunter x Hunter though. Peak analysis. What's her thoughts on Gabby? Oh, so she understands her role in the story, but she can't bring herself to like her. I'm the type of person who I don't dislike characters really. I'm either indifferent or I love them. And I love Gabby because of how much she contributes and how much I can see her perspective and all that. But because of her role, mechanically, I guess, she doesn't really she doesn't really love Gabby. She's like, she's always getting in the way. She wanted Eren and Zeke to touch. And then when she saw them, she's just like, this girl always gets in the way. But she understands her perspective. She just can't bring herself to not view her in opposition, if that makes sense. So yeah, a couple of things, but just before people start dwindling out. Well, we've already started dwindling down. Just before so I don't forget, my reaction to Arcane Episode 9 will go up today on my second channel very soon after this, maybe in an hour or two. And then very soon after that, my reaction to Attack on Titans Episode 1 will go up live on my second channel as well. Both of them will go live today. And on Patreon, up to Episode 3 will be available for anyone interested in that. And then from this point on, it'll be weekly Attack on Titan. One video a week from then on. But yeah, so like in terms of the discussion, I repeat a lot of the points I say in the discussion in these stream discussions, so there will be some overlap. So hopefully that's not a big problem. The people who watch the videos on YouTube, there's going to be at least a couple thousand, whereas these streams have it's between 150 to 200 when we're talking about Attack on Titan, so it's much less. I don't think it's a huge problem, but there will be some redundancy. If you watch these streams, I will repeat certain things. But yeah, why not just post the reaction to Attack on Titan on the main channel? I just prefer to keep reactions to the second one. I'm going to post a video announcing it on the main channel, but I prefer to have polished analysis videos in one spot and reactions in the other. I just like to segregate them that way, and yeah, I like the idea that people go to one channel for reactions and one channel for analytical videos. It's just how I like to separate things. I think I missed one here. So from what I understood, Grisha is seeing Zeke through Eren's point of view due to them possessing the Attack on Titan power. Also got to that point where Eren was the one who guided Grisha into stealing the Founder. So was Grisha and his sister going outside the zone to see the airship a part of his plan in order to kickstart all this? No, that was out of Eren's control. No, that was just the result of Grisha's original will, his original restorationist ideals. His yearning, well, the precursor to his restorationist ideals, his yearning for freedom and how that manifested there. That has nothing to do with Eren. Yeah, that's true, Jamie, but Jamie Faluda. Jame Elf, I don't know how to interpret your name. Faluda, that's true. I don't really care much about algorithmic stuff. If I did, I wouldn't post announcement videos like Arcane reactions incoming, or I'm streaming on Twitch or whatever. I don't care too much about that, but yeah, that is a byproduct too, yeah. I've never really paid much attention to that. Thank you, Propinkist. Thanks very much. Glad you're enjoying them. My favorite dynamic in Attack on Titan? It's hard to pick one. But to name a few, Levi Erwin, Eren Zeke, Eren Grisha, Zeke Grisha, the whole Jaeger family dynamic, Mikasa Eren, Armin Eren, and then sort of how things echo throughout the series. We have Armin and Udi, we have stuff like that, but those are very minor. Those aren't my favorite. What else is there? Those would be the main ones, I think. Udi Kenny, yeah, honestly, that's one of my favorites too. Underrated is Jean Eren, but it's not one of my favorites, absolute favorites. Jean Marco, Sag. Yeah. I wish you made a playlist. I do have a playlist, but it's on iTunes. I can't just share it. I wish I could. I can't. iTunes doesn't allow you to share and export playlists in the way Spotify does. But these are Amori's tracks. Bertolt's Reiner, I love that one too. Yep. Eren Reiner second. Yeah, if it came down to it. Oh, another one. Flock Erwin. Beautiful dynamic there. Hanji Moblit. Sag again. Flock Erwin's great. If it came down to it, I think I would agree. It would be between the Jaeger brothers, Aaron Armin, Aaron Reiner. I can't narrow it down. I can't narrow it down. Amir Historia, yeah, actually, yeah. That I'd say that would be like on the level of Jean Aaron, sort of on that level. So not an absolute favorite, but definitely right up there. Hanji Levi Ervin. Oh yeah. That's out of pocket, freaks. That's out of pocket. Someone ban freaks. I'm kidding. Don't ban that was out of pocket. Yeah, Hanji Levi Ervin. Definitely. I'm kidding. Don't ban them. Yeah. There are lots of great character dynamics here. You're alive. Pekin Porco. Reiner Porco is a really interesting one. I talked about it a ton in my discussion for that and in the discussion stream for the last episode. Really like that one. Yeah, there's lots. I think I named basically all the ones I wanted to. But yeah, any last thoughts or anything anyone really wants to say before we get going? Because I think I'm just about done. We've gone on for more than 3 hours now. I don't really want to do my top 100, so sorry if anyone was looking for that. But we will start the Final Fantasy VII Remake stream on Wednesday morning with some top 100, for sure. We'll get through at least another 5 or 6 at the very least. What do you think about the concept of paths as a whole? Ingenious. I love everything about it. It connects, I mean, no pun intended, but it connects everything. It gives everything cohesion from top to bottom. It is absolutely perfect. It makes the story tick. Paths is amazing. I love everything about it, basically. Yeah. I'm looking forward to your future streams. Well, thank you, Seraph. Glad it added to the experience. That's the point. So could I search it up on iTunes? No. Osa, like this is on my personal iTunes account. These songs are being played, so I can't export the playlist. Could Taxi Driver be an honorable mention on your list? I have not watched it, so no. No worries, Hugs. It is. I get it's early for people, especially on the West Coast. Like no one on the West Coast is able to wake up for these. So yeah, nebulous and mysterious and beautiful and awesome. It's magical. Excited to watch the vids coming out. Have a good one, AJ. Thanks, Logan. Thanks. I hope you enjoy them. Taxi Driver. Sorry, I thought you said Odd Taxi, the anime. It's been like 10 years since I saw Taxi Driver, so no, not right now. Could you make a compulsory analysis on why you're so criminally underrated? Thank you. I wouldn't know how to do that, though. Well, glad you guys enjoyed. We'll give Critty a nice little raid, I guess. Let's see who we can raid. Yeah, we'll give him he's playing some Sekiro. I'm not gonna watch myself, but because I do want to play that myself sometime. But we'll stream Critty. Give him a nice howdy, even though you guys already saw him in chat. I really wish I could watch, but I cannot. I cannot. I'm gonna spoil myself. Glad you guys enjoyed the stream. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, and thanks for contributing and talking. Like, these streams wouldn't be nearly as good if you guys didn't contribute yourselves and ask questions and give your input, so thanks. And hopefully that'll continue for the next few weeks. Next stream, Wednesday morning, Final Fantasy VII Remake. But I'll see you next time. Many thanks for watching.